All right. Should be good here. Up
Great.
and live. Hi.
Hi.
Um, Getting things started. People will start flowing in and joining us at some point here when they notice we've gone live.
Great.
But we can start talking anything you want. As everyone watching probably already knows, I'm JD Bruce. The name of our show is JD Knows Things because I do know things. Sometimes I don't know the correct thing. Sometimes I get it wrong, but it doesn't matter because at the very least, it will be entertaining the whole time. At least that's what I tell myself. So people will be joining us. Jenny, do you want to introduce yourself and tell everyone ultimately when they're watching this who you are and what you're doing?
Sure. My name is Jenny Dazols, and I run Modern Family Finance. We are located in the San Francisco Bay Area. We serve primarily like the kind of 40s to 50s mid-career households, primarily in tech or self-employed. I'm a career transitioner, so I've spent 15 years in tech before transitioning to this industry around 2020. It was my pandemic transition, if you will. And I think someone introduced me to JD early on, and he has been giving me wise advice since then.
Yeah, we met like you were just a few months after you started, right?
Oh yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I actually did Hannah Moore's externship program. I
Oh,
think the
great.
very first year she did it when it was still part of FPA.
Yep.
And I might have been introduced to you through somebody there.
Sure.
But
I
yeah,
know it was John Ing who introduced us,
you're
actually.
right. It was
Yep.
Johnny at Abacus. That's right.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I have at this point now, in this current form, Modern Family Finance has been around since 2023. We are actually part of Equita, which is a financial network of women-led advisors. I think there's like 6 or 7 of us or so on the platform. So I'm registered through them, but really my business is run on my own. Okay, so kind of just have the freedom to do what we will. Um, and right now we're at about 70 or so households, about 700, our current run rate is about 700K. And so we have myself, and we have 2 associate planners, actually one rising associate planner. So she's kind of I don't know, from the context of your prior conversations, I so associate 3, lead 1 kind of thing. That just happened really this month. I just told her that. I'm like, here you go, here's some clients. And all of us, and also my wife, who is basically doing all the client service work, my scheduling, whatever else that's not client related. She does everything else.
Yep.
One thing to note is that all of us do not work full time. So I would say I'm about 75% time, as is that new lead planner. And then the other associate and my wife probably about half time.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So really, you all work full time. It's just that full time is a different definition. That it's
Correct.
30
Yeah,
hours
I
or
don't
20
feel like
hours
I
a
have any
week.
extra time at
No,
all.
right? Yeah. Let's be real. Like people who are working 40-hour weeks are actually
Yeah,
only working like 25 hours anyway,
yeah,
right?
it
That's
is
like,
true. Probably.
that,
Yeah, I
you're
probably am
not.
working full time. I'm just cramming it all in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, your origin story of your firm was pretty interesting because you weren't in San Francisco when you started, right?
Correct. I was actually hiding away from the pandemic in Taipei, Taiwan, which is where my parents are, and it was a super safe place during the pandemics for our 2 kids to continue to go to school.
Mhm.
And so I was doing my CFP education, which I could do totally remotely, and also found a remote role to work as kind of a paraplanner for a bit, and kind of learn the ropes a little bit. But I was fortunate enough to kind of find ways to make it work. And good thing is I'm PST, so PST and Asia time were not too terrible to make it work with clients. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, I didn't really get a chance to come back and try to build things in person until I only moved back last school year, right? So it's actually been pretty recent, and it's kind of amazing that you can build remotely now.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I don't hear that often. Although I do talk to a lot of people, and I've talked to other people who started their firm from outside the country, just kind of like inside the country, but they weren't actually inside the country. I've
Yeah,
talked to a few people like that, but
yeah.
no one who leveraged it and grew as fast as you did. Because getting the 700,000 in what 2.5 years or 3 years, right, is really pretty fast.
I mean, I feel really fortunate, like I think I probably, when I joined Equita, I had gotten some clients, maybe 10 clients or so while I was working under that other advisor for another RIA. Granted, they were all friends and family, and they all would not be hitting my minimums today, but I keep them because I don't know, I can't get rid of them. So yeah, I mean, really, I think it was being able to go fully on my own and being able to, and then I finally got the CFP certification. It took me a long time because I needed to get back into the US to take the exam. And I couldn't do that from Taiwan. And, COVID was really difficult to leave and come back and forth. So I only got it, I think, in 2023 as well, which allowed me to get onto the directories. And I am amazed at, really most of our leads are through the miracles of the internet. So, that seems to have worked. And I think having that CFP was really important.
Yeah, we got a shout out from Anna Marie out there who just wanted to shout you out for being LGBTQ and women focused firm. So
Yes.
it's definitely a great thing. By the way, out there for the people who are watching, feel free to post anything you want into chat. We can chat back at you if you're on YouTube. We can't reply to you if you're on LinkedIn watching, but we can certainly talk to you with your questions. And if anyone wants to ask a question and actually go live with us and jump on video, we can bring you on board to talk to Jenny or me directly. If you want to jump on, just holler and we'll give you a little link down there in chat, at least in the YouTube chat. So if you do want to be on, you should come watch us on YouTube. It's much easier. All right. So what do you want to talk about today?
Oh, what do I do from here? I feel like, the last 2 years, yes, growth has been amazing. I think the first year was like, I don't know if I can survive. And I have to say, like, what I feel like was the critical turning point, and it was, I give full credit to you, is that at first I used to market with like women and LGBTQ. That actually was my leading marketing thing and what I said on the website. I got leads, but they weren't the right fit for what I was trying to do. And you were like, well, you need to actually tell them what you do. And that will kind of actually weed out the people who don't need, like if you say you do tax planning and equity compensation, then you're not going to get people who need credit counseling, because that's not what I do. So changing my messaging and still kind of obviously through the pictures of our firm, by being explicit about women and LGBTQ and kind of our name, Modern Family, is like still appealing to that broader base, but being very clear about what we did and leading with that first. Our tagline is we provide tax smart financial advice to modern families, delivered like a trusted friend. And that really is like what we care about. And that has helped so much with just the type of leads we got. But at this point now, I feel like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but I feel like, okay, we feel very at capacity. We actually just started the process with a recruiting firm to hire for a lead planner. Listening to your last YouTube coaching session with the guy from Stone Steps, I'm like, oh my God, like I don't fit any of those ratios, like in terms of the 25%. I'm like, no, I'm paying out way more to compensation to make this work. So
that's because you're fine.
Yeah. Yes. Especially early on. So I guess it's kind of like, all right, so I'm sitting here at 700K. And I think it's like, well, how do I think I'm at the point already where if I push my team any further without increasing capacity, they're going to hate me. How do my plan is to hire. I'm assuming right now that I'm supposed to be hiring a lead planner. But I guess I want to just check in with that. And then I think more broadly, it's just like, I feel like I probably have to make some mindset shifts as I kind of shift from survival. I feel like my firm is like, we moved from survival and now we're like toddlers toddling around, maybe a child, I'm not sure, but like, how do I grow up and what do I need to grow up as a leader?
Yep. No, that's a great question. We'll talk, there's a bunch of questions actually built in there. So we'll talk about all of those. Let's see. Where do I want to start with? Okay. First of all, you had mentioned, the advice I gave you, I don't know, a couple of years ago, when I said, hey, stop marketing yourself and start marketing your services. That advice came out of research by Herbers and Company, actually, who I was working with at the time. And Angie Herbers had done this research on, how firms are growing and where clients come from. And she found that by advertising services versus values or personalities or whatever, which can work also, right? That's not a bad way to grow. But when you market services, you just have a much bigger market on some level. People are self-selecting based on what they need, instead of based on who you are. And it clearly has worked for you. So that's really great. But I do want to give a shout out to that research, which you can all see at Herbers and Company. If you go to the research tab, you'll find it. It's pretty easy. The number one thing to market in that survey was tax planning. Not tax preparation, but tax planning. That's the number one service that clients were looking for in her research, which I thought was really interesting. So how do you grow up from here? You're kind of at one of these classic inflection points or growth barriers, as Herbers and Company talks about them, where somewhere around your size, you need to start that human capital strategy and getting the right people in place and start thinking of your business as a business instead of a practice. Now you said it's on your advisor team, it's you have a new associate, and you have a kind of newly graduated, lead advisor, basically, that you don't totally trust to take on any client, but you're starting to feed some clients just to see, to get the ball rolling. Is that about right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're in a great position to be graduated, having that associate. And I think that just happened, like you said, yesterday or something, right?
Like, yesterday.
In about 3 months, you're going to start seeing the results, I think. Right. I guess positive or negative, right? Do you want to call the person's name out so we can call them by name, or do you just want
her name is Kathy, and she also came from the Amplified externship program too. I'm really giving props out to that.
I'm a big supporter of that community, and I participate and do my marathon. Actually, my marathon session that I do with the externship is what inspired this YouTube channel.
Oh, that's cool. That's great.
Because I go there and talk. It's my favorite day of the year. I get to talk for 12 hours straight. You know what I mean? And so I come in, I'm like, a little too, I'll just do that, but like in smaller chunks throughout the year, right? And talk to other people. And
we appreciate that you like to talk and help us.
I do like to talk. So Kathy, I expect Kathy to start paying dividends to you in about 3 to 6 months, right? It takes a little time to kind of find your feet as a new advisor. But I think, you'd be able to load her up with, kind of all of the clients that don't just need you pretty quickly. And I would start now going through your client list and break them into 3 categories. There's Jenny clients that you're going to work on with your new associate. What's your new associate's name?
Sue. So she's been around with a year, but she came with a total career transition, no experience.
Right. Oh, is Kathy passed the CFP exam, by the way?
Kathy has passed the CFP exam. She's still collecting hours, but should be
still got a few hours, but she's passed the exam. Okay, great. So exactly where I would expect. So you're gonna have clients that are Jenny with Sue. You're gonna have clients that are Kathy with Sue, and then you're gonna have clients that are Kathy with your oversight and Sue. Sue's on everybody, right? So it's your clients that you get help with, Kathy's clients that she gets help with, and Kathy's clients that you are still the secondary advisor on and need to be included on all decisions, every meeting, all the agendas. It all gets run by you. So Kathy does the work, you review it formally for every client. And then Kathy's clients that she's going to work on her own, you can still provide some oversight there and some coaching and just check in on them, but you're not actively in every meeting. And once you see that list, you'll start to say, okay, what does your capacity now look like 6 months from now when those transitions have happened?
I have tried to put in that list. I think the one variance that I have is like, so up until just yesterday, I kind of split the client list in half, right? Again, similar to, I think it was Scott who you're interviewing, right? He had 2 associates and split them in half. So half the clients were with Kathy or somewhere or another, and like half were with Sue. And I put like kind of because of Kathy's experience with more complicated ones over there. Okay. And I honestly, with her, was like, I almost didn't have to do very much towards the end. She was able to take it almost all the way there. Right. So I think what you're saying differently is actually now I need to rejigger everything all together and have Sue be assistant everyone. I'm just concerned Sue is going to die because she only wants to work. She's only able to work 50% time already. As it is, she feels really stretched. So how do I deal with that?
Well, I mean, I would want to have a full-time associate at your size and on your
Okay.
team,
Yeah.
right? And so if Sue can only work 50% of the time for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and is Sue on the advisory track? Like Sue's working on her CFP, wants to be an advisor?
I don't entirely know for sure.
Okay.
So that's the truth, right? So, that's a conversation I need to have. I think she would take it slow because right now her family's a priority, which is fine.
Yeah.
So she may be okay being an associate for some time to come. But I do know
Yeah.
that the 50% is definitely fixed.
Yep. So let's talk about whether you hire a lead advisor or an associate. It does
Yeah.
sound like you're going to need someone.
Yeah.
But it seems like you need someone in my first blush at the associate level, not at the lead
Mhm.
level,
Mhm.
which the good news about that is it's half the price
Yeah.
and it's um, way easier
Yeah.
because there's hundreds of people who are associate level who
Right.
want an entry level position,
Yeah.
and there's a few lead advisors that I know out there looking, a
Right.
couple, like you might get lucky enough. There's a few told to come to the show in case they want to ask a question and meet you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so,
I think
but
let
that's
me just give you one more piece of information. My challenge is Kathy's amazing, but she's also like not, she is older, meaning her career will end at some point, right? So meaning like maybe in 10 years, she could be totally done. Okay. So meaning she's in her mid.
yeah, 5 years is anxiety producing,
Mhm.
right? 10
Yeah,
years is not anxiety producing.
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
In 10 years, you'll double like 2 or 3 times, right? Like
I hope so.
we're not gonna worry when
Yeah.
you're a 2 or $3 million
Yes.
firm that one of your advisors is retiring. You're
Right.
fine,
Right.
right? You just replace them.
Yeah.
If it's 5 years,
Yeah.
now you're at like a little over 1 million, maybe a
Yeah.
million and a half, maybe get on
Right.
2 if you're really growing.
Yeah.
If you're running at your current rate, obviously be even more, but like that's a little more anxiety producing. I would
Right.
probably have that conversation with Kathy and say, like, what do
Yeah.
you want in your career? Like, what's
Right.
real?
Yeah.
Right? Because I want to transfer a bunch of clients to you, but if you're going to quit in 3 to 5 years, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Right.
I don't know how old Kathy is or why she might want to stop working, but most advisors don't stop at like 62 or 65. They keep
Right.
working a
Right. I
whole
think
long
she'd like
time.
to work as long as she can, right? I mean, but of course, life happens.
Yeah.
I think she could go on for another 5 years, right? So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that is the case at this point. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even made these transitions.
Yep. So if you think about it from a capacity standpoint, right?
Mhm.
The what you're trying to do with this whole structure is create capacity for
Yeah.
serving clients, right? And you want to create capacity at the same rate that you are growing,
Mhm.
right? So if you're going to grow 500,000 of revenue, you want to increase capacity by uh, at least 500,000, or
Mhm.
you won't grow by 500,000 in revenue because
Yeah.
you don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
If you hit capacity, you'll know it because it feels like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
You just stop growing immediately
Yeah.
and you stop selling. Just psychologically, you just aren't interested anymore. You're like, I'm just not even going to talk to anyone. I have too
Mhm.
much work to do. And even if I brought on a client, everyone would be mad at me because it's too busy. You know what I mean? So I think two conversations. One is talking to Kathy about kind of career plans,
Yeah.
and then talking to Sue about career plans,
Yeah.
because it sounds a little bit like Sue might want to be a client service associate and not an associate advisor, or like a
Mhm.
paraplanner in
Mhm.
behind the scenes, not
Mhm.
necessarily grow up to become an advisor.
Mhm.
And you're going to want an associate in that seat who wants to be an advisor as quickly as possible and is
Yeah.
hard charging forward to do that learning so that they're ready.
Yeah.
And I would hire someone, young enough that it offsets Kathy's potential retirement date.
Right.
So that like, okay, well, when Kathy rolls off, this person will be ready and we
Yeah.
won't have a problem. So at your size, a good solid lead advisor should be able to manage 500,000 to maybe even up to 700,000 in revenue by themselves with
Mhm.
enough support, which
Mhm.
is essentially what you've been doing,
Yeah.
right? So I know that that's possible because you've gotten there. You're
Yeah.
now at 700,000. You're
Mhm.
feeling like you hit capacity because you did.
Mhm.
And now it's about how do we create more capacity? Now you actually have two choices, right? Like what you've described is kind of a proto diamond team. In Angie's white paper, it's like you're having that pod structure where you're using your team as a training tool. You don't have to do it that way. You can create a more kind of leveraged structure where you're the advisor and you get people kind of behind the scenes with you who are doing all the work for you. And you're hiring helpers as opposed to hiring other advisors. Right? It's kind of two different philosophies on growth. Most law firms, for example, operate on that, or accounting firms operate on that hierarchical model. You have one partner and then three managers, and each manager has two or three seniors, and each senior has two or three associates. And you have this big pyramid of people, and it's all focusing on that partner at the top who brings in all the business. And that works, right? You could totally do that. If you said, hey, I want to work with billionaires, right? And I know a bunch of them, so that won't be a problem. I'd say, great, create that hierarchical model because you're the only one who's going to bring on the billionaires, right? Your staff isn't going to go out there and find billionaire clients for you. It's something that only you can do, right? Now, if you don't want to just go work with, big old multifamily office style clients, 100 million, 200 million, 5 million, a billion, whatever, and you want the kind of standard wealth management clients, I find that fits more with that kind of pod structure where you have these little pods, which are much easier to strategically plan for, right? If you think a given pod can manage 2 million in revenue, which is kind of the average for a 4-person team. It's like the diamond team model is like is that 2 million. And Dimensional's house structure is probably about the same. Like kind of any of them are about the same. Somewhere in that, 1.5 to 3 million is normal for a team size.
For this is a diamond team size.
Diamond team or other structures. I mean, there's a bunch of variations out there. I think Michael Kitces has his triangle teams, he's calling it, and Dimensional has their house team structure, and she has diamond teams, which is one that kind of started it all. And or any shape you want, right? In my mind, the shape of your team is a derivative of your growth rate, because the more growth you have, the more associates you need to train. So if I think of that team structure, the team structure is about creating an environment where people learn quickly. That's the purpose of it. And if it's not like that, then, all you have is just a kind of collection of advisors who are hanging out together, right? The thing that makes the team work is that associate is in a program that you're pushing them, whether it's 2, 3, 4 years training program, whatever your model is, that those people can learn to be advisors, and they can learn as quickly as possible. And the quickest way to turn someone into an advisor is have them sit in on meetings. That's it. They learn by watching. They still need to study. They need to learn all the technical stuff, but all the non-technical stuff, the soft skills, that are really the hard skills, as Brian Portnoy would say, that stuff you get by watching. That you get by being in a meeting where the client starts crying or the client starts screaming, or you had to give the client really bad news, or the client, the two spouses you're meeting with start fighting, right? You don't know how to handle that until you've seen someone else handle it. And as soon as you saw someone else handle it, then you know how to handle it when it comes up. Then once you try and handle it, you're going to find out what works for you. Right. And so that whole structure is you get those people in, they are drinking from a fire hose, right? You kind of make them work harder than they'll ever work again, right? Elite advisors and don't work that hard. Like, once you have your client book, you're like, it's just not that, like you said, you're doing like 30 hours a week and managing 700,000 in revenue. Like our jobs aren't that trying. You know what I mean? We're not out there like grinding to make this work, except the associates. They should be grinding because there's so much to learn in such a short amount of time that the more you grind, the faster you go. And so they can kind of set their pace based on effort for the most part. Everyone kind of has their upper limit. You don't want to push people, but you want to offer that incentive that the faster you go, the faster you learn all this stuff, the faster you're a lead advisor, the faster you get clients, the faster you start making money. And also the faster I start making money, right? Because if they're working for me and they're serving clients, I make money. If they're working for me and they're my associate, they cost me money. So I want to get people out of that seat. So I had a 2-year program. It was like 2 years. You got to get there. If you can't do it in 3, then that was kind of like, you might not be a good fit. But almost everyone did it in 2-ish, right? Some people 1.5 years, some people 2.5. We kind of left that as kind of the window for what was typical. And then we started loading them up with clients. And so if you think forward, we have to guess what you're going to grow to. And then you look at what Kathy's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
You say, okay, right now you're full.
Mm-hmm.
So your option is transfer clients to Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can add clients. Now, to the extent that Kathy's full and Kathy can't manage as much as you can, because you know more than Kathy. And so when a client question comes up, there's lots of reasons that you have a higher capacity than Kathy. It's not because you're better, right? It's because you're faster, because you've had these experiences already. You don't have to go look something up or learn it. You know it off the top of your head, right? You already do that. So that gets you more capability. The other one is when you split your clients, you're probably not going to split them randomly. You're going to keep the largest, most complex clients, and you're going to pass her the smaller, less complex clients. Just by its nature, if each of you has, 30 clients, you're going to have more revenue than Kathy because her clients are much smaller on average. And so those two things are the primary reasons in my mind. There's probably some other factors that we could discuss, but like those are the two main reasons. And so you give her those, let her digest 250,000 of revenue. And within a year or even 6 months, she's like, okay, I could do more. Then maybe you go to 350, then you go to 400. You keep loading her up and filling her up so that you're then free to bring on clients for yourself, right? And because now you're bringing on larger clients than you did when you first started, because now you're more capable, you have more longevity, more people trust you, an easier sales pitch, that whole thing. And so we just plot it out. Right? We say like, okay, right now, if you put like on a spreadsheet, you have Jenny and Kathy, right? Your capacity is let's say you have about 750,000 of capacity, because you could probably add another 50,000 of revenue if you had to, right? You work 32 hours instead of 30.
Yes. We're still going. We don't have anybody new yet. So we're still bringing on new people. Yeah.
Yep. Now that Kathy is graduated, let's say Kathy could handle 250. So you're at about 1 million, right? Now, that's just my kind of guess off the top of my head, but it's probably close.
Yeah.
So let's say you could handle 1 million in revenue. You can get another 250,000 in revenue before you all just throw up your hands and go, no, I'm done. Right? Done. Right? Like no more clients or we all quit. Right?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get to capacity. Right? So that means you're operating right now on about a 70% capacity. Right? So you have a 30% buffer. So what do you think your growth rate's going to be for next year?
I don't know.
What was your growth rate last year?
I was just looking at this. We started maybe at like 500,000 or something like that. And so, let me actually just open up my spreadsheet. We ended. Oh, okay. It's actually probably, I guess run rate wise, we started the quarter at about 500, right? And now we're ending the year at about 700.
Okay. So you added about 200,000 off 500,000. So without looking at percentages, because percentages don't work at your size, because it just
right. Yeah. Because that looks like amazing, but I don't really think that's a high percentage. So.
Well, maybe we'll see. I mean, I can show you examples of firms that are 100 times your size that are growing at a faster percentage.
Oh my God, really? I already feel like I'm like, how can I sustain this kind of?
Just go look up creative planning.
Yeah.
Right. Look at creative planning story. Yes. That's going to be probably the fastest growing firm to get to that. It's certainly at that size ever. Right. No one's grown that quickly as they did. I don't think. I haven't done the math or the research, but that's at least by reputation. They're a great example of someone who can grow at 1,000% when they're already in millions.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I already feel like this growth rate has been like, a fire hose of.
So don't worry about that, but know that anything is possible. You aren't limited by anything. You could grow as much as you want next year. You could grow by 1 million in revenue next year if you want to. Right? That's up to you. But let's say it's a bit more reasonable. And last year you grew by 200,000 in revenue. Let's say you got to 300,000 this year or next year. In 2026, you had 300,000 in revenue. So that puts you at like 1 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. Which right now would put you at a 100% capacity. But over the course of the next year, so you get a little better.
Mhm.
So you maybe go up to 850,000. You add about 100,000 in capacity just from your skills increasing.
Yeah.
And let's say Kathy goes from 250 to 350, right? Just naturally, both of you are going to get better, right? So where are we at now? 9, 10. So that's like 1.2. Yeah. So let's say you get to, so now you're at 1.2 million in capacity, but you have $1 million. So you have 200,000 of capacity. Well, that's a little less capacity than you have now.
Mhm.
And that's a little scary, right? That you're starting to eat up your capacity and starting to shrink.
Mhm.
And then we look at the next year. And let's say that year you're able to add 400,000 of new revenue. So now you're at 1.4, right? Your capacity probably doesn't go up personally at that point because you're going to get way busy running the firm. Probably
Mhm.
goes down a bit, even maybe, but I'm going to keep it at 850. Let's
Mhm.
say Kathy gets better and now she can get to 500. That would be
Mhm.
my expectation for her. And if not
Mhm.
that, more.
Mhm.
And so then you're at 8, 9, 10, 11. Now you're at 135 of capacity,
Mhm.
but you have 1.4 million in revenue.
Mhm. Yeah.
So if all those numbers are acceptable to you, going from basically doubling in size in 2 years, right?
Mhm.
Going from 700,000 this year to 1.4 million in 2 years, that will eat up all your capacity and you will be full and you can't add another client at that point, which is
Mhm.
a disaster,
Mhm.
right? However, you have theoretically an associate who's ready to be an advisor in 2 years.
Mhm.
Now we have to talk whether or not Sue is going to be that person,
Yeah.
right? But if she is, then when she graduates at that point in 2 years, she would add 250,000 of revenue. So
Mhm.
now it's not 135, it's 1.6. So now you're at 1.4 revenue, 1.6 capacity.
Mhm.
And that means you have 200,000 of capacity again still.
Mhm.
You're treading water. You're holding on your capacity.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's fine to have that buffer stay the same size.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're going to convert that to a percentage, and you want to keep a certain percentage of your capacity open,
Yeah.
right? My rule of thumb is keep the percentage of capacity open that is the same percentage as your percentage revenue growth rate. So if you're growing at 20%, hold
Okay.
yourself at 80% capacity. If
Okay.
you're going at 10%, you can go up to 90% capacity.
Yeah.
If you're going at 50%, all bets are off. Those numbers don't work anymore.
Right. Okay.
Right?
So
That
the
works to
growth
about
rate is
30% growth.
okay. So let me just kind of, I think that's an important point. Whatever my growth rate is, that's the amount of access I want because that's basically what will get eaten up, and I need buffer to build that up again.
Yep.
And it's kind of, if I'm just hearing you say, it's like a little bit of like a waterfall where it's like, this person's coming up, I'm growing it, and this person, like, it's kind of just you're trying to line it up perfectly. Of course,
Yep.
it's never perfect, but that's the goal.
No, you gotta look in your crystal ball
Yeah.
and you gotta think 5 years ahead. And you
Okay.
got to imagine what everyone will look like 5 years from now. See
Okay.
how much capacity you expect them to have in 5 years.
Okay.
See if that matches your growth goals.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't match your growth goals, you say, okay, well, I'm going to need another advisor in 3 years because
Yeah.
you can do the math, right? And say, like, oh, this is where I'm starting to run out of capacity. I need an advisor then. Well, if I know it takes 2 or 3 years to train an advisor,
Yeah.
I need to hire an associate 2 or 3 years before I need them.
Yeah.
And so you're always planning for when that person's going to graduate
Right.
your program. Now,
Well,
where
okay,
you need,
let me ask you this. So I feel like, okay, I think I understand conceptually, right? Like that the goal is to be able to project forward what the growth rate will be and then build out your capacity to meet it and be
yeah,
far enough ahead that you don't end up stalling yourself out because you didn't spend the time to build capacity, which takes time.
right.
What I feel like in what happens though, especially for like firms or kind of solo advisory shops like mine, is it is difficult to imagine or to commit to or believe, I suppose, that like, okay, I can actually hit those growth numbers. So therefore, it is very scary to invest. And then also that combined with the fact that as I look, and this is something that like my wife and I talk about it. She's like, why do you want to grow? Just stop. Like we're fine. You know what I mean? And I think for me, I do want to grow, but in large part, like a big driver for my desire to grow is also like I want to be able to only do the things that, or mostly do the things that I feel like are in my zone of genius, and that you need people, therefore, to do the other things. And secondly, I also want to be able to walk away from the business for a month at some point and have it not collapse because it's all dependent on me, right? I want to
Yeah.
build a business, not like a job, as they say, right? So that's my desire for growth. But like when I think ahead, I'm like growing $500,000 next year. I'm like, I can't even fathom. I'm having a difficulty of imagination that I could do that without like collapsing, you know? So
I can prove to you, I'm gonna prove something to you. I want you to go back in time in your head,
okay.
right? Let's go back in time into your head 2 years ago. And
Yeah.
the conversations we had 2 years ago, you're like, I don't know where I'm gonna find any clients. Like I have like
Right.
80,000 of revenue, and
Yes.
like
Yeah.
how can I get to
Mhm.
150,000? Like that doesn't even
Yes.
seem possible. And now you're at 700,
It is
right?
true.
Did
Yes.
I wave a magic wand or something and make that magical thing happen, or did you just do it because it's not all that hard?
It's true. It did happen. I mean, yes, we did it. We did it.
Yeah. So
You
why can't you just do that again?
It's true. Can I like so let me ask you this. Like, what do you think is the reason why some people get stuck? Because I do feel like there are a fair amount of advisors that are kind of like hovering around that $1 million or pre or post, and their goal is to try to get there. And it just seems like they're stuck there for like 10 years or 5 years, like a long time. You know what I mean? Like, what is the problem? What is the thing I have to make sure I avoid? Is it the capacity issue?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
80% of the time it's capacity. Like they just don't, they get scared about hiring. They
Yeah.
don't want to. It's like, too much trouble. I don't want to
Right.
train someone. The
Right.
number of I've heard here's what I hear. I don't really want to train someone. Like it takes so much time. What if they leave? Like it's such a big investment. I don't want my
Yeah.
cash flow to go down, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah.
Fine. Then don't grow. You know what I mean? Like that's not a problem. If you said, hey, I really like what's going on right now. I'm making plenty of money.
Yeah.
So why should I grow? Like what your wife says, why grow?
Yeah.
And you don't have to. You really don't. You can create any size firm.
Yeah.
Usually, like if you stop at about where you are, or
Yeah.
you stop at about 1.5 million,
Yeah.
right? So double where you are roughly,
Yeah.
or you stop kind of double that again at like 3
Yeah.
million. You can easily stop if
Yeah.
you are intentional. If you're not intentional, you'll make your money, it's horrible. Like your margins just disappear. Your retention is horrible. Like there's a bunch of
Mhm.
problems with trying to stop if you do
Mhm.
it wrong and you do it unintentionally. The same as
Mhm.
if you tried to grow but didn't do it intentionally.
Yeah.
It's you're going to have problems. But as long
Yeah.
as you have a plan for it, it's just a different set of problems when you have a static firm
Right.
versus a growing firm.
Right.
Static firms, probably you make the most cash that you'll make in
Yeah.
any structure. Just stop growing, milk your cash flow, and you're golden,
Yeah.
right? So,
No, that's
uh,
anathema to me. I think you told me this earlier too. I told you
yeah,
all I wanted to was make a like I think I said I wanted to make like 250, and you said, "Yeah, you'll get there, and then you'll want to keep going." And
yeah,
you're
of
right.
course.
I was like, so I had very low
It's fun.
ambitions before.
There's nothing more fun than growing a firm. It's
It's
really
true. I
dynamic.
am
It's
having
really
fun with
fun.
it.
It's you have
Yes.
a great time, right? It
Yes.
doesn't mean it doesn't have problems, but
Yeah.
I find it way more fun than sitting still. But
Yeah.
sitting still might make you more money.
Yeah.
Not necessarily more wealth, but more cash. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like it's more cash flow.
Right.
If you're growing, obviously your firm becomes worth more and more and more, and you might have a
Yeah.
bigger exit at the end if you want to get
Sure.
rid of it.
Yeah.
But if you just stay still, your margins will double,
Yeah.
right? Because you just cut out all the stupid spending. You don't spend any money on marketing. You're not hiring any new
Right.
people except to replace them. If you
Yeah.
do have to replace someone, you try and replace them with someone who's less ambitious and cheaper,
Right.
right? And that's going to happen if you stop growing over the first few years. But we're not going to do that. We're going to grow.
Right.
And so it's taken you about 2-ish years, 2-3 years to get to 700,000 in revenue.
Mhm.
So what makes you think that you're going to grow slower than that in the future?
Well, you're right. I think I'm gonna go slow because I don't have the people, but you're right. If I have the people,
Just
I
have the
think
people.
yes, I think it well, I don't know because to like I guess the other equation of this is like the marketing side, right? To which to a certain extent it's been somewhat magical to me, as in it's like somehow it happened, you know?
Uh-huh.
It's not like we've done nothing, we've done some things, but to be honest, like I've definitely spent much more of my brain power on how do I serve the clients? How do I staff up my people? Like that's where most of my brain power is
Yeah.
because like we stopped taking on new clients, at least in two different instances, because I felt I didn't have a handle on those two things. And the
Sure.
main important thing is like, it's really important for all of us and for my team, for myself, is that I only want to grow sustainably. I'm not willing to like suffer terribly in the process, you know?
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
um, so yeah, I mean, I guess on the marketing side, right? Like to kind of stay at that growth, do you think I have to do something more different? And like, what are the engines that I don't know, like
Why
what
would you have to do something different?
I don't know.
What you did
Right.
worked. You added 700,000 in revenue in a relatively short period of time. Just do that again,
Keep doing that.
and it will be way easier because before you were doing it from scratch,
Right.
right? And now you're
Yeah.
doing it with a giant base of clients who are going to refer you other clients. It
Yeah.
should be way easier to double than it was to get here. Way easier.
Mm.
Most people, it takes like successively shorter times to double,
Really? Okay.
right? Um,
Yeah.
because up to a point, right? At
Sure.
some
Of
point in
course.
growth rate, but like,
Yeah.
most people don't get to 700,000 in like 3 years, right?
Mhm.
That might take 10,
Mhm.
right? For some people, they're like struggling up that hill. It's a
Mhm.
really hard hill to climb. You've had a
Mhm.
lot of outsized success compared to a lot of your peers.
I feel like we're
Um,
very lucky, blessed, but yes.
Maybe, or not. Like, I don't know. That sounds like false humility, right? Like, who was there to give you luck? You were started in the middle of COVID in a different country, right? You can't go visit anyone, can't even go get your CFP, like, and you're struggling with all these outside factors that are holding you back realistically. It's like you couldn't go out to events, you couldn't do speaking events, you couldn't walk down to the corner market and like maybe meet someone. Like it was a harder time. Now, there were some advantages to it as well because no one else could do anything either. So
Right.
they,
Right. Yeah.
but regardless, you did it, and the idea that you couldn't do exactly the same amount of revenue over the same period of time again is nonsense to me.
Yeah.
Of course you
Okay.
will,
Well, thank
and
you.
you'll do it way better because look at all the people you have to help you now, right?
I mean, I
Like there, it
definitely
was
feel
you
like
alone.
I'm better. Like I'm better at doing it,
Of
right?
course
Like
you are.
it's way easier for me. I'm way more confident than starting.
Absolutely.
But like this is like, okay, so now this is where I'm also stuck, which is like, okay, I understand this building capacity. Okay, I'm gonna believe that I can figure out a way to get the clients. My challenge is, okay, now how do I, and you mentioned this in that one podcast interview with Scott too, is like it's really difficult to pass trust. Like I can sell myself. I can sell myself as the advisor, right?
Mhm.
And I can tell you certainly that Kathy has no desire to be out there like selling the way I am. And I don't think she'd be super, not because she's not great, but like she's just a different kind of personality. I don't know that she'd be great at doing that,
That's normal. Yeah,
right?
hired
So
right.
like, how do I pass them to other advisors? How do you
Oh,
do that very difficult
that's
thing?
easy. Nah, that's easy. So okay, I have two things to say on that one, and then I'll tell you kind of what we did in the past and kind of what my quote unquote secret is to that.
Okay.
So first, your clients don't care about you as much as you think they care about you.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah, you're a part of their life, you're helping them, but like as long as someone's helping them, they don't care that much,
Yeah.
right? When you're operating on a team, it helps, right? You're not transferring the client to someone else.
Hmm.
You're assigning another primary advisor to be their main point of contact,
Yeah.
and then you are still there. You're not going anywhere. You're not selling the client to someone and then you're gone. You're not
Yeah.
disappearing. You're going anywhere. You're there, and you can be in whatever meetings you want, right? And so I mentioned before, do those three categories. There's some clients where you're still going to be the primary advisor. Like in your CRM or on an Excel sheet or whatever,
Yeah.
have for every single client listed primary advisor, secondary advisor.
Yep. Yep.
Not every client has a secondary advisor.
Yep.
Okay. The primary advisor is always the lower ranking person on the team
Mhm.
who is a qualified advisor. So if there's
Mhm.
two advisors on a client, the lower ranking person is the primary, the higher ranking is secondary.
Mhm.
I could get in, if you're curious about why, I can spend a whole lot of time telling you about the math, right? Of
I think
why
I
that
think I understand. I mean, it makes sense to me. Okay, that makes sense.
it's just for strategic planning
Yeah.
because you need to know what your lower ranking person's capacity is.
Right.
And if they're helping you on clients but are uncredited, then you don't actually know their workload.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anytime they help you, that revenue is assigned to them
Okay.
and you're the secondary. Okay. So start with that, and you're going to have some, you're the primary, no secondary. There's some that Kathy is the primary, no secondary. And there's some that Kathy is the primary, you're the secondary. Now, secondary means you're in every meeting pretty much.
Okay.
Right? It's not you coming in to help. It's you're sharing the client.
Okay.
Right? The client thinks of both of you as the advisor. They might email you and they might email Kathy. They might email Sue. Right? It doesn't really matter. Right? The primary is the one who is quote unquote responsible. That's the person who gets yelled at if a mistake is made. Right? No, shouldn't yell at your people unless they like it. But that's the first step. So once you have those three things, your question in your mind is, well, great. All the ones that have Kathy, the ones with Kathy as primary, you as secondary, that's easy. Kathy just starts talking more in meetings and you start talking less. Done.
Do you ever say anything to the client, or are they just like nothing? They just kind of start to experience it.
Yeah, we'll talk through that in a second. I'll tell you my whole technique for doing this. It works differently on different clients because different clients kind of accept this at a different pace.
Yes.
The bigger question is, what about the ones that Kathy is the primary and you're not the secondary, right? How do you get out of the room?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So here's how I do it. And I've done it lots and lots of times. It works really well. And especially on this kind of team structure, right? It's way easier in a team structure. So you start right now, because they've been meeting with you and another advisor the whole time, right? Like you've had Kathy in the
room. They've been meeting with me and Kathy.
Yes. Kathy's been in the room with you for years now, or a year, or however long she's been with you.
2 years, yeah.
They know Kathy already. Like this is not a new relationship.
Yeah.
Right. And that's key. Right. That's why it's part of the beauty of having the associate in the room the whole time, because they get comfort.
Right.
And I told all my clients, like when I first introduced them to this whole concept of having the associate in the room, I said, hey, Stacy's here. Stacy's my associate. This is an apprentice position. Stacy will graduate and become a lead advisor. Then at that point, there'll be a new Stacy. That will rotate every couple years. There's going to be a new Stacy. And they're like, okay, great. It got to the point where sometimes it would rotate and it would be like, okay, Stacy's graduated. Here's Rashid, your new associate. This is the new Stacy. And for a little bit of time, some of them would just call Rashid new Stacy. Just don't remember the name, like new Stacy. What's new Stacy's name again? So they get it. And they actually, because you tell them it's an apprentice position and they're learning and we're trying to bring them up and teach them to be a good advisor, your clients actually get excited about being part of the education.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, oh, okay, well, let's see it. Let me chat. Oh, do you want me to throw like a hard problem at Stacy? You know what I mean? It's like, this, game you're playing with your clients.
Yeah.
So at the time Kathy graduates, which is now, right? First of all, you look at all the people who really love Kathy. You start to look at the email etiquette from each client. Which ones are already just emailing Kathy and not you? There are some, I guarantee, that are either putting Kathy first and CCing you, or just emailing Kathy and not emailing you at all.
Yeah.
Those are her clients to start with, right? Easy, right? Because they're already talking to her.
Yeah.
So then internal on the spreadsheet, you make the change. You don't tell the client. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Right? In the next meeting, you say, hey, Kathy's just graduated to lead advisor at our firm. Isn't that amazing? Right? So she's going to be taking a larger role on your account. I'm not going anywhere, right? At this point, don't worry. Right? I'm here. But Kathy's now able and has, passed CFP exam. She's getting her CFP and she'll have the letters in 2 months.
Yeah.
She's been doing all the work anyway. Yeah. So for the most part, she's going to be your primary contact, but I'll be in the meetings whenever you need me.
Yeah.
And you come you're in that meeting the whole time. The next meeting, you decide, do you want to go for half the time or do you want to go the whole time? And what you do is when they call to schedule the meeting, you say, hey, Jenny got double booked and has to step out about after the first half of our meeting. Is that going to be okay? Or do you want to reschedule? And they're like, no, that's fine. And so you show up to the first half. So sorry, I got double booked. Oh my God. Like it's just one of those things. Right. And then you leave at the second half. And
so it's kind of like, you're purposely saying that to see who's going to react and not want to.
Yeah. If they're like, no, we need to reschedule. We really need Jenny. Okay. They go on your shared client list.
Okay. I've been doing this all wrong. Okay.
There's no wrong, right? This is just my.
Well, I've just lost a client as a result of doing this poorly. So I was like, I got to do this better.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, then it was probably wrong.
Yes.
And so you stick around, right? And the clients, if the clients start pushing back, okay, well then, you move way more slowly. You still
Yeah.
have Kathy do all the work. It just means that you're going to have to show up to the meetings for a while.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, if they push back on the first one, where you leave halfway through, if that
Yeah.
creates any trouble, okay, well, next time come back to the full meeting. Then the
Mm.
one after that, say, hey, I need to, I need to be only here for half, right? And try it again later, right? You can't use the same trick of getting double booked, but you can use, you can
Yeah.
make some excuse, right?
Okay.
Like, hey, I'm just really busy that week and I only have an hour, but I think it's going to be a 2-hour meeting. So like,
Yeah.
I can only be there for half. The ones where it works, then you go, great. The next meeting, you show up and don't say anything the whole meeting.
Yeah.
Right? Just stay silent the whole time. After that, Kathy reaches out and says, hey, do we really need Jenny in the meeting? She's been really
Yeah.
busy, so it's making it hard to schedule stuff.
Yeah.
Like, can we just book this next meeting? We don't really have anything big going on anyway. If
Yeah.
you want her there, it's fine. We can bring her in, but it might be easier to get things scheduled and you'll have more availability if you just book with me, and then we'll bring her in as necessary. And they go, okay, yeah, that's cool. Then the next one, you show up for the first like 10 minutes and just say, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's really nice to see you. I do have to go. I know I'm not scheduled here, but I didn't want to not jump into the Zoom and say hi. Right. And then after you're like, okay, you guys got this. I'm working on some other stuff, but if you need me to jump in with a question, just Kathy can ping me and I'll jump in.
Okay, so it's like this is actually like quite like you're really letting it be client led and you're kind of testing the waters and doing it slowly. I was just about to rip off a band-aid. I don't think that was a good idea.
You just don't need to, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you do need to, let's say Kathy left and you need to put a new advisor in, you're like, hey, Kathy quit, so here's your new advisor.
Right.
Then you have to do it that way, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do the rip off the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
But only do the rip off the Band-Aid if you have to.
Got
if it's like, if we don't do this, something bad's going to happen. So we have to make this transition now. I just can't be in these meetings.
Yeah.
Just know you have a risk of client loss in that time, as you've experienced.
Yeah.
And just so do it slowly, right?
Yeah.
Start weaning these clients off you is better. Just give them a little, but they know they all should know from the very beginning, I'm not transferring you to Kathy.
Yeah.
Right. We're just changing the way our team is servicing you.
Yeah.
I am here and I talk to Kathy about you all the time. Anything that comes up, Kathy comes to me and we talk about all our clients. We do it every week.
Yeah.
And so I know whether I'm in the room or not, I'm going to know everything about you. Don't worry. I'm still on it. And if I feel like I need to be in a meeting, if I hear you inherit a bunch of money or you're going to sell a business or someone died or getting married or you have kids, you have a big life change, I'm going to jump in for that. Right. And help you through the hard stuff. And if you need me, and if you don't, Kathy has it covered, then that's fine too. Right. But we all work as a team here and all of us are on every client. It's just all of us can't be in every meeting.
Right.
Right. And if you get your clients really sold on that idea, then this becomes pretty simple.
And usually how many times, like on average, like how many meetings were you in before you felt like you were able to just disappear?
1 to 3.
Okay.
Just depends.
Okay.
Right. I usually, if you plan it 6 months before they graduate, it's way easier.
Yeah.
Right. Because you can start the process before they're ready. Right. You start talking about Kathy's graduation. Yeah. And Kathy kind of, starts selling them on the idea that she's going to be the advisor. Yeah. Right. Kathy's like, I'm graduating. Like, do you want to stick with me? Like, do we really need Jenny? You know what I mean? Like, she's out there selling herself to the client, like really ingratiating herself and making herself the one.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of let it go slow. It doesn't mean you don't have to apply pressure. You are applying pressure, right? You're giving the client like, hey, this is how we kind of need to do it. And the larger the client is, the more they pay, the more important they are to the firm from a concentration risk standpoint, the more likely you are to stay on the account.
Right.
Someone's paying you $2,000 a year or $3,000 a year because they're one of your early clients. You're like, look, like I just, they know, right? It's not like they're confused about how much they're paying you. They know how much they're paying you. And you say, look, I can't, that's how it is. And if they leave, who cares, right? It's not that big. It's not a big change, right? Yeah. So the team structure allows you to go slow. And if you think about it psychologically, if you have 2 advisors and the client's moving from one to another, the client is moving, the advisors are staying in the same place, right?
Yeah.
If you have a team and the client is here in the middle and you rotate the shape around the client isn't moving, you are. And so just if you think about that from like in everything that you're doing, if you're thinking about this, we are moving around the client and the client is staying stable, right?
Okay.
All we're doing is changing the resources the client has access to
Yeah.
so that it is most closely matching their situation.
Yeah.
And so some clients we would say like, hey, I don't think I'm the right advisor for you anymore, right? I specialize in this, this, and this, right? And that isn't you. Kathy specializes in people like you. And so, yeah, I own the company and whatever, right? I'm a more senior advisor, but that doesn't mean I'm better for you. And so it's really important that you kind of make sure the client is recognizing what is to their benefit and what isn't to their benefit.
Yeah.
And you want them to think of Kathy as the one who's to their benefit. So some other things you do is clients start emailing you. They'll email both of you, or they'll just email you. You never respond. Once you're no longer the primary advisor, you don't respond to another email unless it's personal.
Okay.
Right? Like anything related to their account, you stop responding and Kathy starts responding. If someone emails you, hey, what's the deal with my portfolio question? You forward it to Kathy. Kathy gets back, says, hey, Jenny forwarded me your email. She couldn't get back to you right away, but I could. So here's the answer.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if they email you and are like, hey, I heard you climbed this cool mountain or whatever, right? Then you can respond on that. But you say like, oh, yeah, it was really amazing. Here's some pictures. I saw your other question. Kathy's getting back to you shortly.
Yeah.
Right. Or you let Kathy respond and then you respond.
Right.
With the personal questions.
Yeah.
And that way you're kind of training them like, you know who to call. Like, don't call me. Because when you call me, it just slows it down. Right. And they learn that clients get to know like instantly.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that with your bank. Like if you have someone at your bank that calls you back right away and someone at your bank doesn't call you back right away, you call the person who called you back. Right. It's super easy. And that's always, how people respond because they know that's just natural.
Right. Well, okay. So in this context though, what about the associate? There's a third person too? Is there first?
The associate's in every meeting you can fit them into.
Okay. So associates
every
also
time there's a client meeting, the associate shows up. You might have 3 people.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a shared client and both of you are there,
the
associate's quiet, you're quiet, Kathy's doing all the talking. If Kathy's in the room, you want Kathy to be doing the talking, not you.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm struggling with that, but yes.
That's, are you kidding me? Like that is the biggest struggle that I have in life is sitting down, listening and not talking.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I think we know each other well enough to know that you imagining me sitting in a client meeting and not talking is like, you're like, how did you do that? Because I don't think that's possible for you to do. And you're right. I was really bad at it. Right. Normally, they kind of at some point realized that the associate's smarter than I am in terms of their needs and all the technical financial planning stuff. And like, I'm really good at making clients feel good, but like, I'm not that good at analyzing annuities. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing all that work anyway.
Right.
And so a lot of self-deprecation, a lot of humility walking into it is very helpful. Because if you start making the client think like, oh, wait, you're just actually distracted all the time running this business and going to find clients and you're not that good at servicing clients. You're actually better at finding new clients and making me feel good and not so much at the analysis.
Yeah.
Kathy's the one who's been doing all the analysis anyway. Like, I don't know. This feels like I kind of trust Kathy more than you.
Right.
And that's fine. That is kind of what you want to cultivate as your persona with some of these clients, not with the larger clients you want to keep, but with the ones you want to transfer. You kind of get, I mean, my strategy is to start being a little more of a buffoon, than I actually am. And so they kind of are like, oh, you're so silly, JD. Yeah, no, I'm going to talk to Stacy about it. Right? Like, do you want it? Sometimes I'd ask them, like, do you want my off the cuff answer? Or do you want the one from Stacy who actually researches it?
Right.
And they're like, oh no, I want that one. And I'm like, great. Okay, cool. Stacy will get back to you shortly. And so the more you do that and make yourself sound not important, the more they believe you. So that's kind of how I did it. That doesn't work for everyone, right? It's real easy for the, older white guy to come in and be like, hey, I'm kind of a buffoon. They're like, you're not really, you're actually really great. But you know what I mean? Like, so I can, it's my vibe, right? I can do that very easily. So you got to find your own.
But I got to find a way to shut myself up more and just trust her.
Well, that's,
that's the hard thing, right?
Unless she says something wrong.
Sure.
You can correct in a meeting if you need to, very
Yeah.
gently, not to undermine her. But like if something's wrong, you're like, okay, yeah, Kathy, that's a great idea. I had a thought on another idea that's
Right.
actually also really great.
Yeah.
How about this one? You know, and then Kathy knows when you do that she messed up.
Yes.
And if you talk in a meeting, you need to debrief about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because then you need to be able to come in and say, hey, sorry for busting in like that, but you said this, and that's just not the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You missed this and this and this.
Yes.
And so you have that kind of debriefing after is critical.
Yes.
Because otherwise, if you're talking in meetings, it just crushes her ability to be trusted.
I'm not doing a great job of it. Nonetheless, I have seen that in the last, like, we just basically try to transition about 10 clients or so. And it's like, actually, from what she did in meeting 1 to meeting 10, massive improvement. So I could
Yeah.
see, like, okay, like
Yeah.
she'll get there. I have to trust that she will get there,
Yeah.
And I made a bazillion mistakes when I started out too.
Yeah. Now, what this sounds like on its face is, okay, what that means is it's going to take me 2 years to transfer all these clients to her. And so how am I actually building capacity for myself?
Yes, yes, yes.
Right.
That's still the
But
struggle.
the answer is if you're not actually doing any of the work and you just show up to the meeting
Yeah,
because
it's a
it's all
lot
prep,
easier.
you just don't prep at all. You just show
Yeah.
up to the meeting because you're not talking anyway.
That's
So what
what
do you
I'm
need to prep
doing.
for?
Yes, I'm just showing up. Yes.
That opens up all of your capacity.
Yeah.
That just takes 1 hour out of your
That's
week.
right.
The
Yeah.
reality is the number of hours in your week isn't the thing that you're hitting on the ceiling. It's your ability to hold those clients
Right.
and serve them all and
Yeah.
know them and keep track of everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the number of hours.
That's
Right.
right.
The number of hours, you can just work an extra hour. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. I don't mind just showing up at the meeting if I don't have to do
Mhm.
any of the before anyways. And I
Exactly.
actually don't even tell unless you have a problem, I'm just showing up,
Yeah.
which has been working. But I guess
Yeah.
to follow up this question on transitioning clients, well, what about the new people? Like I don't really know. So I'm like transitioning like this, I guess, and this kind of so the way I've been thinking about it is like I told you, I had these like legacy clients starting out. We have like every new firm continually raised our prices, started out like maybe 5,000 or something. Now we're at a 10,000 minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
So like we have a lot of clients that are still, because honestly, we didn't even hit the 10,000 minimum until middle of this year.
Sure.
So a lot of our people are below that, or some of them are below that. And I've been I've been thinking about it more from a revenue perspective to give to her because it's less risk. Although to your point, it's also important to think about the relationship part. But then it's like I have all these new people that I'm the one selling, I'm the one closing, and it's taking up all my capacity. How do I eventually, I don't even know if it's to her or the new person I'm hiring or what,
Mhm.
I don't
Well,
really have a plan.
plug them in the same way we were just talking about.
Mhm.
You have 3 lists. Your client is primary, her client is primary with you secondary, her clients is primary without you secondary.
But do I bring her in or the other lead or maybe our new hire in that discovery meeting? Because right now I'm only doing all discovery meetings by myself.
Yeah, I would, right?
Okay.
So there's 2 sales skills you need to learn as an advisor. Well, actually, there's 1 sales skill you need to learn, 1 sales skill that some people learn,
Mhm.
right? The sales skill that everyone needs to learn is how to bring on clients and close the deal.
Mhm.
You need to get good at that closing conversation. That's actually very easy, right?
Mhm.
You write the script, you learn the script, you say the script,
Mhm.
the client closes. It's simple.
Mhm.
You just need confidence because you're selling yourself, right? Hey, come on, I'm really good. Don't you believe me? Look at me. I'm awesome.
Mhm.
Come, let me be your person. Like, oh,
Mhm.
that's awesome. As you mentioned, transferring that trust is much harder, right? You coming and saying, we're really awesome. You're going to work with Kathy, right? And they're like, but what about you? Right. And you're like, I don't do that, right? Most people are just fine, right? They understand that you have a service model, right?
Yeah.
They understand, like, I understand that when I'm talking to a new bank and
Mhm.
they assign me the cool private banker person,
Yeah.
that they're going to talk to me about what my needs are and figure out what my loan needs are and my checking needs are and all those things. That they are then, as soon as I sign up and deposit money into my account, I'm going to
Mhm.
meet my private banker,
Yeah.
right? So I have Stephanie who's bringing me on, right? And then I have Jennifer who's going to be my private banker who I'm going to call every time from then on, unless I need something new, in which case I'd call Stephanie, right?
Mhm.
I have a salesperson and I have a service person and I know their role,
Mhm.
right? It's fine. I don't care, right?
Mhm.
I get the right services. You have to sell that right. And that skill of selling for other people and selling for your firm is
Mhm.
one that not every advisor builds. right? But it is the core skill. If you look at like Angie's Diamond team, that senior advisor, the relationship manager, the team leader, the person who's in charge, right? Their job is to learn to sell for other people, right? The lead advisors only sell for themselves. They're not selling and then transferring the client. And
so how does that look differently, I guess? Like, what do I, because right now I'm selling for myself, I think, really?
Yeah, totally. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because you are your firm at this point
Yes.
still. You're going to play with it. You're going to see how it works. You're going to try it and you're going to fail a few times, right? And you're going to try different techniques. Now, I explain it. If I'm really doing it, I want to explain that from the beginning, right? Hey, we're having this conversation. You're going to join my firm. Someone's going to be your advisor. It might be Kathy. It might be me. It might be this other person, right? We're going to find the person who specializes in what you need. And we're going to assign you the person who's going to be able to best serve you, right? And I don't know who that is yet because I haven't talked to you yet.
Yeah.
Right? You can usually get a pretty good sense of who the advisor is going to be in like 15 minutes.
Sure.
So I actually recommend a 15-minute screening call before you do the full sales meeting.
Sure. Yeah.
Ultimately, it won't be you doing that 15 minutes. You'll have someone else do it. They'll screen it and then they will pick who the right advisor is. And you're going to have criteria for that. One's going to be size. The biggest clients are probably going to be you. The smaller clients are going to be Kathy. It could be personality. It could be specialty. It could be industry. It could be all sorts of things that you just all specialize in, right? We would have like, okay, here's the financial list, right? Here are all the things that you need to be like thinking about when you're matching people. And then you have your kind of like more social criteria, right? Are they Buddhist? Are they, single? Are they married? Do they have kids? Are they this? Are they that? Are they people that either of you is going to, work better with? Right? When I ran my firm, we had advisors. It was like, do not send Buddhist clients, right? Do not send this person anyone who talks slowly, right? Because they talk really fast, like I do, and it would be a big person would hate them. Or it might be like, if they have equity comp, here are your 3 advisors that specialize in that, right? If they seem like they're about to get married or they're young inheritors, they're a widow, maybe that's JD, right? And so you just kind of have that sense. With the 2 of you, it's easy because he's just like, well, probably that one, like there's not that many criteria. But even as you add more advisors, you're always thinking about like who the best person is.
Yeah.
And if you acculturate that into your firm and you're going through and your clients are like, feeling that that's true, then they get it. And it's just part of who you are. That you come on and we all serve you. And your primary is not that important, right? But then I would bring in for that sales meeting so that you have a 15-minute screen that maybe is like Sue doing it, who knows, or it's your wife or someone else. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
It's generally better for it not to be one of the advisors, right? But it's great for it to be like a second year associate.
Yeah.
That's great because it's some of the best sales training you can do is make them do a bunch of those 15-minute screening calls, right? Because it's very low risk and it's really, really good experience. They just get used to telling the story.
Right.
They just need a script. Right? You just have to write the script and then you're good.
Yeah.
But for now, after that 15-minute screening call that everyone in your company should be trained to do, right? And the person comes in for that hour-long sales meeting or whatever you do in your process. And you should have whoever you think is going to be their servicing advisor in that room.
Okay.
And you're each I would probably each talk about 50% of the time. Because the point is for them to get to know them.
Right.
You're still really good at selling. So you're going to be doing the like pitch and then they're going to be answering questions. Right. So if it gets down to like advisory questions, let Kathy do it. If it's like, what about the firm? What's your vision? What's your story? What's your culture? What's your values? All that sort of stuff. Then you answer. So you're answering firm questions. She's answering advice questions. And try not to actually give advice in the meeting, right? Is always better in my mind, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So she's just like, oh yeah, no, this is the way we handle that. Oh yeah, life insurance, that's a big one. So yeah, we usually handle that in the second meeting and we do this. And I go out there and she's saying all this about how she will solve the problem.
Right.
So on some level, you're asking the questions to discover the problems, and then she's going to describe how you at your firm handle that kind of situation.
Okay.
Right? This is what we do for a life insurance analysis.
Yeah.
We take all this information, we start with this like 10 times earnings as our like term life insurance, and then we look at it and adjust depending on your risk profile. Then we're going to go out there and then blah, 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 blah. Right? Does that solve that need for you? And they're like, oh yeah, that's amazing. Great.
Yeah.
And then you jump back in. Okay, I did have a question on this thing about your situation.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's like this. Kathy comes in. Oh, this is how we solve that.
Right.
Let her be the solution provider, because you want them thinking of her as the one who solves their problems.
Yeah.
And they think of you as like the fearless leader who's really cool and they really like and loves your vision, and you're just trying to pump them up, and you're like, look at you know. And Kathy's over like, yeah, I don't know. We need to make sure to be very prudent with you. You know what I mean? Like, very different energy. And I don't, you know, but, and then you adjust depending on the person.
Yeah.
Right. And you go from there. Now, if you know it's going to be you, you know, they come in and it's a $20 million client or whatever, and you're like, it's going to be me. Then obviously you don't need to bring her in, but you probably want to anyway. Right. Because you're going to be sharing that with her. Right. As support.
Right.
So, does that answer that question?
Yes, it does.
This is just like iterative learning. You got to just build those skills.
Well, I mean, I think what I'm hearing from you is like, to get to where I am now, or even maybe the next couple 100K, I can still press on as I am. But if I want to break past this thing, I really need to shift my focus from learning how to be a great advisor, which is what I've been spending the last few years doing, right? Because this was also new to me, and that was already fire hosey, to being like, well, how do I actually foster and grow great advisors, which is a whole different animal. Right. So I have to like
describe exactly what you need to do to keep growing from where you are.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like, I will tap out or basically feel overworked and hate this thing and want to throw it away. You know, so.
Yep. The other big thing you have to do is make sure your service model is consistent and that Kathy is doing it the same way that you do it.
Yeah. So, okay, tell me more about that. And when I guess I had another question. It's just like, okay, well, who does what, right? Like, so what are the things that, like, I get it. If you're a huge firm, you can have like your own trading ops team, your own, you know, things you can have. Okay, we're not that big though. So in this stage of life, you know, right now we do have Lisa doing all the client services stuff. So they don't have to deal with Schwab, which is good. It frees up their time to do planning work. But trading is kind of just split by like, whoever's in charge, whoever's associate on the person does the trading. I don't think that's the most efficient way, but I don't really know what else to do. We use like iRebal as well as a TAMP, kind of both of them for different reasons. But so there's still some work involved. So like some of these kind of central operational tasks, how does it be managed? How is it best to manage it in a smaller firm like us?
But you can't wear multiple hats. I mean, look, it's the same service model.
Yeah.
It's just that you have more people wearing more hats. Right? Because trading is a 10 hour a week job, maybe, or 8.
Yeah.
Right. And so you don't need a full-time person for it.
No.
Right. And at some point you will, but you'll know you do when that person is spending all their time trading.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it typically centralized to one person, or is it typically split across people? Like when you see it, you know,
well, that's a big risk management question, right?
Yeah.
Like if you centralize it in one person, it's very efficient, but you have concentration risk and you haven't cross-trained, and then you're risking that person leaves and you're screwed.
Right.
Right. So if that person is your wife, for example, then you're probably fine.
Right.
Right. Because there's some things you're just not going to cross-train. Accounting, billing, you're not going to cross-train.
No, right.
You might learn it. Now you need to cross anything that's not cross-trained across your staff. You need to cross-train in so you at least know the basics or where the documents are stored. Right. But for the most part, like if it's someone who's not going to leave, or if your wife left, that would be a bigger, you're worried about other things that aren't your business. You know what I mean? That's a much bigger problem. So like that's, your service model flowchart, like the way you do everything and how you hand off work, is more or less the same functionally at your size versus when you're 4 times your size.
Okay.
Right. The difference is there are more handoffs in as you get bigger. There's more. There's more times it has to go from one person to another person to another person. And so you just end up with more boxes in the flow, right? Because there's more volume. And when there's more volume, you need more reviews. And when you need more reviews, you need more steps.
Mhm.
Right. And so you'll end up with more steps, but the functions stay the same. You have a trading function, you have a custodial relations function, you have the advisor analysis function, you have a billing function, you have a reporting function.
Mhm.
Right. When you started out, that was you in every box.
Mhm.
And then it was your wife in some boxes, and you got to take your hands off.
Yes.
And then as you hired people, you were allowed to take off hats in certain of those boxes. Each of those boxes has a process, right? And this process changes as you grow, right? But the function doesn't change. Clients need to be traded. How you do it will change. That it needs to happen does not change.
Mhm.
And so just write out your flow chart for everything that you do for clients, right? Ever. What are the requests?
Mhm.
How is it handled?
Mhm.
You can do complicated flow charts. You can do simple little like checklists for each thing.
Mhm.
The simplest way is you just make a list of everything that you do for clients,
Mhm.
and then you just have a little checklist of tasks for each of those things, and each checklist says who does it.
Mhm.
And every time it comes up, you just keep checking it off until it's done.
Mhm.
Simple. That's the simplest kind of process management system. Just do it in
Mhm.
Excel. Doesn't matter, right? You
Yeah.
can do it paper, right? You just pass around your office or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or you can build it inside your CRM and have workflows and all that fun stuff.
Yes, we have some fancy
But
work. But
you don't need to go
yes.
overload with all that fancy
Sure.
stuff. Automation is great, but like the reality is every time you double in size, you're going to throw it all away anyway.
Yeah.
So like automate what is sensible to automate, and don't automate things that aren't sensible to automate.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll spend 10 hours automating something that's only going to take you 2 hours over the next 2 years, right? Don't do that. But for the most part, just write out your service model, and this is what we do. And the most important thing to focus on is when work goes from one person to another person.
Mhm.
That's the thing you need to look at, right? That's the important part. Because if your client asked you for something and you knew you were going to do it,
Yeah.
all you need is a productivity system to make sure you don't forget.
Right.
That's it. But right now, if a client asks you for stuff for 5 things come out of the meeting, and Kathy's going to do 2, Sue's going to do 1, your wife's going to do another, this other person's going to do another, and you're
Yeah.
like, hey, what's up with that client? And you don't know
Right.
if all those things are getting done. That's a much different issue. You need a system in place so you can look without having to bother everybody, because
Right.
otherwise you might have well just done it yourself in the first place.
Yeah.
So put in the most basic system you can think of for making sure you know the status of all the tasks in your
Yeah.
business. And that's kind of, you have this is how we do it. This is how it's happening. So you have some sort of like basic organizational function around it. And that's as far as you really need to go around service model.
Well, I have a question about service model, less about like how to actually execute it, but just even what has to like, okay, so the context is, we've actually spent part of my energy has been spent thinking about like, okay, how do I bring additional services into our firm? And, right or wrong, I guess my view is like, okay, people want a one-stop shop. So how can I bring tax prep? We're not doing tax prep, but like we're using partners to do that. We're using, kind of some of these platforms to bring, estate planning, just so that feels more like a one-stop shop. I do think clients appreciate it. One of the areas is also like investments. Do I need to think about more products and services in there? Like we're kind of, we have we have some models that are pretty, kind of like standard models. If it should we be introducing alternatives? And I guess the question I have is, how important is it to be adding more services, like services as a thing? And I just read something from the Future Proof Advisor guy who's kind of like, that's not important. People just care about like you understanding them. But I'm curious to like, in terms of competing or being competitive or attracting new clients, how important is all that stuff? Or is it just like, just be a
If you're
human?
growing enough to meet your goals without adding that stuff, then you don't need to add anything. As you're thinking about growth, as you get bigger and bigger,
Yeah.
you don't want to think about addressable market size, like how many of the people who contact you are qualified to work with you. That's your first kind of, as you think about your marketing funnel, it's like, okay, you have leads flow in. What percentage of those is qualified, right? That's my first review of should I add another service? Because I look at all those reasons why the clients aren't qualified.
Yeah.
And if there's a big bunch of them that aren't qualified for one reason and one reason only,
Yeah.
you're like, well, my market could be bigger if we had this one service.
Right.
Or it could be, for example, the reason that I launched a small account solution,
Mhm.
mostly, we
Yeah.
already kind of had it, but the reason I focused on it is because when we looked at the leads that were coming in versus the leads that
Yeah.
were qualified, a very small percentage of them were qualified.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, well, what's up with the other ones? And
Yeah.
what was up with the other ones is they just didn't have as much money. They
Yeah.
had fewer assets. They still needed financial planning. They just didn't have as many assets.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, what if we created a service for all those people? Right? If we have 10,000 people contacting us a year that say they want this service and
Yeah.
we don't offer it, well, that's on us. Aren't we dumb? Like, I
Right.
mean, shouldn't we offer it?
Right.
Like, they all want it. And if we
Right.
did it, how many of those could we possibly close? And
Right.
maybe it's a lot. And so
Yeah.
you think about that. If you get a bunch of clients that say, like, yeah, I'm looking for someone that does tax prep for me
Right.
in addition to financial planning, I want that one-stop shop. And
Yeah.
you're losing, like, X number of clients because of that. Well, then
Yeah.
add it in, because then you can actually quantify. If I add that, I would have added
Mhm.
all these clients. That's 150,000 of revenue. It's going to
Yeah.
cost me 100,000 to implement this.
Yeah.
Duh, right? Of course I should do it.
Right.
But only do that if you're otherwise not going to be able to meet your growth goals.
Mhm.
If you're meeting your growth goals,
Mhm.
then who cares how many clients don't work with you? You're only
Mhm.
caring about the clients that do work with you and they fit your vision for what you want to offer the world.
Mhm.
And so, like, don't add stuff just because you think you're supposed to. That's
Mhm.
dumb, right? Like, add stuff when you think it will make your client's life better,
Yeah.
will allow you to meet your growth goals, and overall be a net positive for your entire situation.
Yeah.
Don't do it just because you think some other firm did, so I have to be competitive. You know what I mean? You can be
Right.
competitive at anything,
Yeah.
right? There's companies out there that have millions of revenue and all they do is, like, sell stickers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to have a wide service model in order to have a successful
Right.
business, right? You just have to have the service model that the clients you want to work with expect you to have.
Yeah.
Then you're fine.
Yeah.
So do that. Don't add stuff just because other people are doing it.
Yeah.
What you see for other firms when you look in from the outside versus how it actually works on the inside it's night and day.
Really?
Like, no one's unless you're in a study group and you really know them, but even then
Yeah.
they're posturing a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know the problems,
Right.
right? Just like when you look at someone's marriage, you don't get involved in that because you don't know everything and you never will. It's impossible, right? They have their own thing, and as soon as you get yourself involved in someone else's marriage, then it's all over for you. You're the
Yeah.
one who's gonna lose. Like, they aren't. You're done. It's bad news for everybody. So don't do
Yes.
that. So that's I don't know. Does that answer your question on that?
Yes, it does.
I
Well,
don't
I mean, I
remember what the
think
question
kind of
was.
what I'm
So
hearing you say is like, think about it from the context of, do I need to add more services in order to get clients that I want to get, but I'm not, or that are coming, but I can't serve, right?
right.
Or that are leaving because I don't have it, or
Yeah.
whatever else it is,
Yeah.
right?
Add service, or if you really want to, that's fine
Or if I
too.
really want to,
Yeah.
yes, if I really want to. Yeah, because obviously that takes energy and time.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
um,
It's a growth killer to add new services
is it? Yeah,
until it's not, right?
yeah,
Until it's, you know what I mean? So that's
yes. Cool.
what else you
Are,
got.
are there other questions out there in the internet's world, or do I just keep going?
So I think I never closed the loop on your other question because you're
Yes.
like,
Who
should
am
I
I
hire
supposed
an
to be hiring?
associate?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Should I hire an associate or should
Yeah.
I hire a
This is an
lead?
active decision.
Yeah.
There is
So
a wreck flying out there right now.
yeah. So remember that all that math problem I walked you
Right.
through. You're going from 700 to a million to 1.4,
Yeah.
and now you're at 1.4, and that person's graduated,
Yeah.
and now you have 1.6, but you only have 1.4 of capacity.
Yeah.
You hire a lead advisor when you need to go faster.
Meaning what do you mean go faster? I want to grow
So
faster.
it takes an associate
Yes.
2 to 3 years to be ready to take on
I
clients.
see.
It takes a lead advisor 6 months to a year before they can take on clients, depending on who you hire,
Yeah.
right? Because you got to get them. Yeah, they got to know your system.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can't start
Yes.
day one with clients. Some people could theoretically if you already know them or whatever,
Right.
but it takes, and then you have to transfer them and you have to do
Yes.
it. So, but it's
Yeah.
way faster. So if
Right.
you looked at the math and you plot it out, you're like, this is how much revenue I hope to have.
Yeah.
These are the advisors I hope to have.
Yeah.
It's not enough to service that growth. And if it's not, then you need to hire a lead advisor because you waited too long,
Right.
right? hiring a lead advisor is always either an optional luxury accelerator,
Right.
where you're like, I could grow this fast with our current plan, but if I added this advisor, I could sell that much more, and I think I could, so I might as well. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what allowed creative planning to grow that fast, is they hired
Yeah.
experienced advisors and they got really good at it. Otherwise, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to. Right? Didn't matter how many clients came in from the referral program, which is where they found most of their clients at the beginning.
Yeah.
They were able to grow because they were able to add advisors very quickly and train
Yeah.
them very quickly. And that is the only thing you ever need to think about for the rest of your career. How do I get more advisors and how do I train them as quickly as
As
possible?
quickly as
If you
possible.
master that, then growth is unlimited.
Okay, well, how do I juxtapose, how do I kind of relate that statement with what I heard you say to the other advisor last time, just in terms of the numbers? Because like right now, my numbers would not support where I'm this thing, right? Like it's kind of like, okay, I'm only now able to afford paying myself and my wife like a reasonable market rate, right? This is the first year we've kind of been able to do that. Last year we were able to kind of make something at least respectable, and now this year's like, okay, this is okay now, right? And I've also been able to give raises to the people that are on my team. So I feel really good about it. But then it's like, if I add another one, that's like a big financial, and I think this is where people on my size get stuck, because it's like, if I do the math, this makes no sense. I can't afford it.
Well, you can if you grow.
Exactly. So I guess I have to think, okay, well, I'll be at $1 million.
You gotta, I mean, reinvestment is the ultimate invest in yourself. I'm going to invest this amount of money with the expectation that I will be able to add this number of clients.
Yes.
If you fail at adding that number of clients, it will cost you.
Yes.
If you succeed, then you will be able to grow and make money.
Yeah.
If it takes you a year to do it and you plan for a year, then you're great. If it takes you 2 years to do it and you plan for a year, then you've just lost out on 150 grand or whatever.
Right.
Right? That's the bet. That's why you get the big bucks. Right?
Yeah.
That's why as this business grows, you're going to make lots more money than the people who work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you took the risk of the reinvestment to keep it going.
Yeah.
When you think about your growth, your profits go from really profitable to very unprofitable, and really profitable and really unprofitable.
Okay, that's good to understand,
because as you don't grow your expenses like this.
Yeah.
You grow your expenses like this.
Yeah.
Right? It's big steps when you hire someone. Now, if you could hire a part-time advisor who's a qualified advisor, but only want to work 10 hours a week, and then 20 hours a week, and then 30 hours a week, and then 40 hours a week.
That's ideal, but that's hard.
That'd be rad, right? But you can't do that every time, right?
Yeah.
If you do it, then always do it.
Yeah.
Right? That's awesome. Like, solve your problem that way. That's the ultimate, right? You find someone who just put their kids into school in first grade. And they're like, look, I want a job for 15, 20 hours a week. And I used to be an advisor at Merrill Lynch or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, great, come on over here. I'll take 6 months. We'll get you up to speed on our system. And then you can work your 15, 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Now, as their kids get older, they're like, I could work 20 hours a week because my kid told me they hated me today. And then another year later, like, they're starting middle school. I don't want to be around my kids at all. So how about 40 hours a week? Like, I need an excuse to get out of the house, or at least just lock my door. Right. And so it's just like, if you can find that person, do it always. Otherwise, you take the risk. Now, the risk is more spread out when you hire associate advisors and less spread out when you hire lead advisors. Right. Because the risk,
because they're cheaper, and so you have this.
Yeah, except they're half the price, but twice as slow. So you end up investing, if it takes a year to get a lead advisor and 2 years to get an associate advisor, and you spend 70 on an associate and 140 on a lead, you're spending the same amount. You just get it twice as fast.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's the same. You're investing 140 grand to get that advisor up to speed.
Yeah.
Right. In the amount you're paying them prior to them taking on clients.
Yeah.
Right. It's just that one is ready in a year and one is ready in 2 years.
Right.
You have to match the speed with your speed of growth. So if you're growing at a particular rate and accelerating and hiring a lead advisor is just going to leave you with a bunch of excess capacity,
right?
Well, that doesn't actually meet your needs, right? If you need that person to be ready in 2 years, then hire an associate, or 3 years, hire an associate. If you need that person to be ready in a year because that's just the state you're in because you waited too long to hire, well, then hire a lead if you can find one.
Yeah. I mean, do you have any rule of thumb for how low to drive down, like it's okay to drive down profit margins before it's just stupid? Or is it just basically how much of a risk are you willing to take, how much that you're willing to take?
When you're bigger, I'd say 15% is minimum margin and aim for 20 to 25 or more if you want to grow slower.
Yeah.
For a firm your size, this is about your income in your pocketbook. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. What can I tolerate
what
from
can
my
you
family?
personally afford?
Yes.
That ends after another doubling, probably. Like once you're at 1.5 million, like adding another person doesn't, I mean, it affects you, but it doesn't affect you as much because you're putting a bunch. Like then you're like, okay, how much less am I going to save next year? You know
Right.
what I mean? It
Right.
becomes much easier when it just lower, where you're taking the cash flow down that you don't actually need because
Yeah.
it's excess
Yeah.
versus wealth creation by growing your firm.
Yeah.
Well, that's an easier choice than like, oh God, we're spending 250 and I'm making 270. Like, it's going to be a big, making my income next year maybe go down by 100 grand is a lot to stomach. Right. So you have to really, this is the last kind of inflection point that's going to feel personal. Right. After that, it feels less personal.
That'll be nice.
It's still a little hard when you're at like 1.5 million, but by the time you're at 3 million in revenue, you're like, whatevs.
I can't even think about it. I can only think in the thing in front of me.
I need you to think really farther out
I need
ahead.
to think farther. I need to think more. I think it's just like you're right. Like I have to believe it's true. Like I have to believe based on the fact that it's happened. I didn't know what the heck I was doing either at that time, right? So somehow it managed. I managed to figure it out with help, and find people who can help. So this is the next challenge. I guess one question is like, do you see like a sweet spot in which, like I said, right now the business is still 90% relying on me. I cannot like go off in the woods for a month. I mean, Kathy can definitely do a lot for us. I mean, but like I can't. So at what stage are owner advisors have like, what would you say? Oh, you have a business. It is not a job. Like it is not dependent on you. At
You're
what
pretty
stage?
close. I
Okay.
mean, one could argue that if Kathy were, 3 years ahead, right? You'd be close enough where you could take a month-long vacation.
Yeah.
You're probably not there now. It's easier if you had a partner.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people partner up
Right.
at about your size. They'll like,
Yeah.
hey, you want to merge?
Yeah.
See a lot of those at like that 700, 500, 700, a
Yeah.
million range. Like,
Yeah.
let's tie up.
Yeah.
Because it does give you that possibility. And
Yeah.
it's a really, personally it helps, right?
Yeah.
And it especially hurts you because if you were going to take a month off, who's going to go with you?
Exactly.
God,
Also, our
who was
client
also
service
working in the
associate
business.
and billing operations officer is also stuck. So
Yeah.
we feel a little stuck. And that's what I'm trying to like, how do I outgrow this phase so we don't feel so stuck? That's definitely a driving factor,
You need to make yourself less important. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, it's time, right? You're still in the grind phase. Like it's
Yeah.
just what it is. Add maybe another year or two, and then you
Yeah.
get another. If you get another doubling in size, I think you're probably there.
Yeah.
Like you could certainly take a month off.
Right.
With careful planning,
Yeah.
right? Double again, and you can take a month off, and most people won't even notice,
Yeah.
right? Because most people are just running your business for you anyway at that
Right.
size,
Right.
or getting close to it.
Yeah. And
And
you
I know
mentioned,
that sounds far out, and I
you
know
know,
it sounds crazy, and you can't even envision it,
I can't
but it's
vision.
like tomorrow. Like you're gonna hit that tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna happen so fast that you're gonna be like, oh, yeah, I was like, remember 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I was like, I can't even
I
envision
hope
this,
so.
and now I
I
can't even
can't envision
remember
it.
what
Yeah.
happened back then. And you're gonna look back on this recording and be like, silly me. You know what I mean?
I hope
That's
so.
normal.
Yes.
It's just normal. Everybody.
Last question. Well, I don't know if like what, like just in terms of growth, like how do you feel about buying clients, right? Like, or acquisition, like, what I mean? Like I didn't even know this was possible. Like obviously I'm not in a position where I'm gonna go buy another firm, but like people sell, apparently I didn't realize
Why
this, they
not?
sell like piecemeal clients too and those kind of things.
Why couldn't you buy a firm?
Huh? I
Why
don't
couldn't
know.
you buy a firm?
I guess I could.
Yeah,
But
don't limit yourself. What are you talking about? Of
I
course
guess
you
I
can.
could borrow
You
some
could
money.
buy a firm 4 times your size if you
I
wanted
could,
to.
yes.
Yeah, I have a few that might be interested. So you can do whatever you want, right? So no more limitations. You can do
Yeah.
whatever you want. You can
Yeah.
be successful at any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So the way I think about M&A for a firm like yours who's growing
Yeah.
is, as you think about that capacity journey, sometimes you're going to be extra good at executing on that to the point where you have too much capacity.
Mhm.
right? And your sales just can't keep up because you did so well at creating capacity that you just couldn't add enough clients that quickly, right? Someone is just Kathy's killing it and goes, and you thought she'd be able to manage 500,000, but she can manage 800,000 or a million. She's just crushing it, right? Or you hire two people expecting one of them to stay and the other one to leave, and both stay, right? I had a target 25% failure rate for my associate program. Like as long as 3 out of 4 passed, then I'm fine. But if 4 out of 4 passed, I ended up with this extra capacity. Right. Or you might not crush it on creating capacity. You might create way less than you need, either because your sales were way higher than you thought, or you had more failure. Instead of that 25% failure rate, you had a 50% failure rate. Well, now you're missing an advisor that left. Right. And so you are short on capacity. M&A can solve both those problems. So if you have excess capacity, sure, find a retiring advisor and you're like, I can buy your clients, right? Maybe it's 300,000 in revenue or something, and you have $1 million in extra capacity, right? You're like, I'll just buy that. You don't want to fill up all your capacity, but if you fill up like a third of your excess capacity with an M&A deal, it becomes almost free, right? The excess, the revenue from that can pay the payments you have to make for the clients. And so 4 years later, you're rich because you basically got these clients for free. If you have to hire someone to manage it, it's a little less easy, right? But so I would only do that if you're sitting on excess capacity.
Okay.
Right.
Which I'm not. I'm having the opposite problem.
Well, certainly don't buy a firm right now, unless because there's the other option. What if you suck at creating capacity and you failed, and now you still need it because your sales are still crushing it, but your service capacity is rough? Then you go find an advisor who started their own firm who has trouble with sales. And there's lots of those that they've been growing. And instead of in 3 years getting to 700,000 in revenue, they got to like 150,000 in revenue after 3 years. And I talk to people like that all the time. And they're just like, yeah, I'm just, they're happy enough. They were making 80 grand or 100 grand somewhere. Now they have 150,000 in revenue. They kind of made back their salary, so they're fine. But like they can't grow anymore and they just got stuck. Right. And that happens at 150 and it happens at like 350. You see a lot of firms in both those sizes just struggling, right?
I guess if it's less than 150, they'd have to quit, find another job, right? Like it's hard to survive if it's too much less than that.
Well, it depends on what you're spending, right?
Sure,
like if you spend 100 grand a year and you have 150,000 revenue, you're probably fine. Right. So it's just what your needs are. But you find someone who's like that and is like, I'm kind of sick of running my business. Like I only did it because JD said anyone could do it. And then I tried it and I couldn't, and if you acquire that person, honestly, you can sometimes even just fold them in. You're like, hey, I'll start paying you 150,000 salary. You bring over your 150,000 revenue. You're not going to own anything because you have no profits left over, but we'll just call it even. And then you're here. They're like, okay, cool. That sounds cool. Because then
that's who I want to find. That's my ideal person. My ideal person is somebody who has started a firm, has clients, doesn't really want to run a firm.
Go network and hunt for those kind of people. They're out there.
Okay.
Anyone listening who's like that, you got a home here. Come on, call Jenny. If you can't reach Jenny, call me. I'll get you in touch with Jenny or someone else who wants. Everybody wants that, right? It's like a unicorn. Recognizing there's a reason that's true. Right. So you got to do some due diligence, make sure you know why they're not able to do it. But you could take that person who has 150,000 revenue or 350,000 revenue and suddenly make them with your infrastructure. They could double how much they can service. That 150,000 can manage 300 or 500,000. You can just flow clients to them.
You're right.
Right. It's brilliant if you can find that person. So basically you're buying firms either to add capacity or to fill capacity, and don't do the wrong one. Because if right now you bought a retiring advisor's book, what are you going to do with it?
Right.
You're hosed. You won't grow at all. And you've replaced free growth, where it's just you hustling, with growth you had to pay for. And so it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? In lost profit and lost wealth building. So only buy firms to solve one of your capacity problems. Until you're way bigger, and then you start talking about scaling and you start talking about some valuation adjustments and differences, that are more dramatic when you're bigger, right? If you're really big, you have 10 million of revenue and you're buying a $500,000 firm or $1 million revenue firm, like your valuation multiples are so far apart that you should buy them just for the valuation accretion to yourself, right? There's lots of really good reasons to do that. You just don't really have much valuation accretion when they join you.
Yeah.
Like your multiples aren't that different. They're different, but they're not. They're like 1 or 2 times different on earnings. Like they might be worth 6 times earnings and you're worth 7 or 8 times earnings. You know what I mean? Like it's a small enough difference that you shouldn't do it just for that, because it'll break you, right? So you just gotta, for now, only acquire a firm if it adds to your capacity.
Yeah. I mean,
Unless
right now
in 2 years, you might do it to fill capacity, but not today.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So no buying clients for you.
No, I don't want. No, I'm not looking to buy clients. I'm just first I have to find somebody. First I have to hire.
But buying an advisory firm that has somewhere between 100 to 350,000 of revenue could be transformative for you. And if they're 350 of revenue, they'll probably come in as your partner and own 5-10% of your firm or whatever. Maybe 20. Right. So they become your minority partner. And then sure, you can go leave for a month, no problem, because they can cover you. It's different than,
I mean, with something like that, like obviously I've heard of FP transitions. Is that kind of like how do you even go about doing something like that? I mean,
just call me.
besides
I'll help you.
Reaching out to
I'll help you.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, how do you find them?
Yeah. How do you find them?
Oh, go network. Just let every single friend you know in the industry know that that's what you're looking for. Right. Post it on LinkedIn. Just be very out and vocal about doing it. When you go to conferences, just talk to everyone and say like, hey, tell me about your firm. I would have these little conversations at conferences. Hey, tell me about your firm. They're like, oh, I'm like this. Okay, cool. You want to talk more? Because I'm looking for someone just like you. Or you're like, oh, that sounds like a really cool firm. Okay, hey, what about your firm? Like just keep asking. And eventually, especially like the XYPN conference is a great place to find people like that. And XYPN in general is a pretty good place.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Yeah.
Are you an XYPN member? I can't remember.
I'm not, because I'm with this platform, so that's kind of what we do. But I obviously have listened to a lot of XYPN, and they were
and talk to the people who are both the other advisors on your platform and everyone else. Just tell everybody. Right. Just be really loud about it is usually what it is. You talk to people like me and you're like, hey, if you ever meet someone just like this, here's my little criteria, put it in an email, have a little one sheet, you're like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And I see it and I'm like, cool. If I meet, I just sitting on my desk for a little while or on my, in my inbox, and then I meet that person. I'm like, I know someone for you. Right. Because they might call me, or whatever. Right. That's you out there right now. Post a question in chat and we'll have you meet Jenny right now.
Yes.
But yeah, it's things like this, right? Go out there, go on podcasts, go to conferences and get speaking events and just network with people who know people.
Yeah.
And find your connectors who are going to connect you and do that. It's where, all of the acquisitions I ever did, some of them came from Dimensional would refer them over because I had a great relationship with them. TD would refer them over, like my rep at TD would refer them over. People in my study groups that I was in like 2 or 3 study groups would refer them over. And then I wanted to meet, I saw, I was looking around, just looking at different advisors around the internet and looking at XYPN lists. And I found one. I'm like, I really want to meet her. Right. And I met her at a conference, at an XYPN conference, and she just wouldn't give me the time of day. Right.
Well, why did you want to meet her? Why did you choose her?
I just really liked her firm. Right. Okay. And I'm like, oh yeah, she'd be such a good fit for us. I'm like, oh, she's perfect. Like I got a sense for her. She created a lot of content. I'll tell you who it is in a minute. And so I said, okay, I don't know how can I get this person to actually talk
join
to
your firm,
right?
Yeah.
Or no, I just start talking to me, befriend. How do I become friends with this person?
Yeah.
And so I cast an elaborate plot. So I went with someone who I knew was her friend, right? And I said, hey, I've been thinking about starting a study group where I take 6 firms and I facilitate an 18-month program and I teach you just things I know about running an advisory firm. She's like, that sounds amazing. I'm like, would you want to put a group together of firms who you already trust, and then come have me run that study group for you for 18 months? And she's like, yeah, I'll put that together. So she came back and she put the person's name on the list. And I'm like, perfect. Yeah, I'm done. Let's go. And so I started doing this thing. And then before we even started, this particular advisor sent me an email and said, hey, I'm part of this other study group. And I know that I was invited through this other person, but would you be open to mentoring our study group too?
Mhm.
Right? Would you be
Right,
willing to
yeah.
do 2 groups?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, duh, of course I'm going to, because
Yeah.
that's, one of the main reasons I did it."
Yeah.
And, so I did.
Yeah.
And, then, um, with my whole s with both of the study groups that I was running then concurrently, I told them, "Great, I'm doing this because I like acquiring firms, and I like
Mhm.
acquiring firms that are like yours. You have
Yeah.
no obligation to obviously join our firm. I'm gonna do
Right.
this for you one way or the other, but it's a little bit like a timeshare. You're gonna have to listen to me talk about it and how cool we are and how much I wanna buy you. So just,
Mhm.
you're gonna get the sales pitch every now and again.
Yeah.
Is that an okay trade-off for me doing this for you for 18 months?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
We're not gonna join, but that's fine.
Right.
We can talk more about it." Like, "That's fine. I just wanna make sure you know what the
Yeah.
opportunity looks like. So I'm gonna
Right.
give you a little bit, but I'm really here to help you because I really
Yeah.
like helping you."
Yeah.
Right? It's what led me to become a consultant because I kinda got the bug for
Yeah.
helping other firms, right? And so it, like, actually led to a whole new career for me.
Yeah.
But that particular advisor, it did work.
Oh, she joined?
I I offered to hire her,
Mhm.
to buy her firm, and she
Yeah.
told me no. And then I offered again, and she told me no. And then I offered
Mhm.
again. She's like, "Okay, well, let me think about it." So I sent her the details, and then she told me no again. And then I said, "Okay, last try." Right? Like, "Are you sure no?" She said, "No." And I said, "What if we made you our head of marketing?" And I
Mm.
knew that she had a lot of interest in marketing, was one of her
Yeah.
passions. And then she said very naughty words and then said, "Okay, I'll talk to you." Right? 'Cause first she had to tell me to F off because
Yeah.
that was, I'm like, she's like, "Oh, you just pressed the button that I didn't want you to press." And we ended up working out a deal. And it's because I caught her on a bad day,
Ah.
right? I caught her on a day that she hated her firm,
Yeah.
right?
She's
"I'm
done
so over this." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Are you?" And she's like, "Oh, okay, fine." Right? But she told me no, and then I sweetened it with the head of marketing, and, the advisor was Mary Beth Storyhan, who became
Mhm.
our co-CEO,
Yeah. Yeah.
and who's now left to go, back to running her own firm,
Yeah.
um, but that's how I did it,
Wow.
right? I
Okay.
identified who I wanted, and then
Yeah.
I had to completely elaborate, like, rom-com plot to try
Yeah,
and,
it really was.
to fall in love with our firm, you know what I mean? And, I watch a lot of, like, romantic comedies and
Yeah.
romance novels, so, like, the
Yeah.
the whole, like, dramatic gesture seems to, be in my DNA, but it it's just about the hustle, right? It's the
Yeah.
same as honestly, it's no different than going out and finding clients.
Clients, yeah.
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 So that was a long answer for I don't even
Yeah.
remember what you asked me, but
I don't know either. I started talking about acquisitions, and I guess,
oh,
like,
how do you find those
how do you
people?
find
So
yeah, how do you find the
well, now we
person?
know.
Yeah.
This is how. Right
Yeah.
here or wherever. Oh, yeah, there,
You
right?
figure out who you wanna talk
Right
to, and then
first
you
time.
just it's like the con artist, not to say you're a con artist, so you have to, like, figure out everything else about them, and
It's
then you kind
close.
of put yourself into it, right? Put yourself in
Yeah.
the
I'm a
situation.
bit of a grifter,
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
no,
that I'm a good one, you know
yeah,
what I
you're
mean?
actually trying to help us, trying to
Yeah.
offer
You
help
never
us.
hear about the con men and that are doing it for your benefit,
That's right.
right? Because we don't get caught doing anything bad. We're not doing anything illegal. We're just,
Mhm.
psychologically manipulating you to, do the right thing.
That's right.
The thing that you just can't see yet. It's a little bit like a therapist, whose
Yeah.
job is to manipulate you into being better.
I mean,
I'm
to be
doing the same
honest, it's
thing.
also like a financial planner. We're trying to manipulate you into doing what we think is the right thing to do,
Exactly.
right? So
Yeah. Yeah, my son yells at me. He's like, "Don't you don't manipulate people. That's bad." I'm like, "No, it's only bad if you're doing bad things, It's like great if you're doing good things." You just have to tell them you're doing it while you're doing it, which
Yeah,
doesn't make it less powerful. It just
yeah,
makes it more powerful.
yes. Yeah. I mean, I think, like, again, I think that my big takeaway from this conversation, I mean, you've been telling us this, is like, building out the capacity. I need to shift my mindset from really focusing on how to be the advisor and how to do things to how do I teach, how do I grow people to do these things. I am curious, like, what do you think? Like, I feel like a lot of advisors do get really focused, and there's so much content out there about how to market, how to get clients. I don't know if it's me and projecting, but it feels like a lot of us kind of focus first on, like, I don't know how I'm going to get the client. How am I going to possibly deliver this kind of growth? And you kind of focus on that. Is it that actually, is it, but you're talking about just build it and it will come. Like, where's the disconnect here? Is it we're focusing on the wrong thing, or is it just some people like,
Yeah, you're focused on the
yeah,
wrong
so,
thing, right? Now,
okay.
it's not that you don't need to focus on that. I'm not saying that marketing isn't important.
Yes.
I'm saying that most firms I talk to already have the skills and the processes they need, or
Yeah.
they wouldn't be where they are.
Okay.
So like if I talk to someone and they're like, yeah, I'm stuck at 300,000, we could probably do 700,000 in business right now because
Right.
there's 2 advisors and we're partners. We just can't find the clients. I'm like, okay, yeah, you need to focus on marketing, right?
Okay.
Because clearly you have enough capacity and you can't
Yeah.
find clients. That's a
Yeah.
problem, right?
Yes.
That's maybe 10% of the time.
Yeah.
90% of the time, you brought on 700,000 of revenue in like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You already know how to do it and you
Mm-hmm.
have already done it. So
Mm-hmm.
the idea that you need to do something different to go find clients is nonsensical on its face
Mm-hmm.
because I'm showing you, you know how to bring on 700,000 of clients in 3
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
What we are talking about is in 3 years, you doubling in size, which is like what,
Yeah.
a 25% growth rate.
Mm-hmm.
So like, great. If that's your goal,
Yeah.
just do what you did then
Right.
again.
Yes.
Just Groundhog Day it. You're
Yeah.
fine. You know, if you know you're bad at sales, if you keep adding capacity and it doesn't fill,
Right.
right? 90% of the time, people don't have growth because they are okay at marketing. They think they're got suddenly bad at marketing. That is what happens. They're growing. They're like, I keep adding these clients. And they're like,
Yeah.
wow, sales really dropped off a cliff. I don't know. Suddenly we're bad at marketing. I'm like, no, you're not. You're just full.
Mm.
Right? It's like being bad at, you think you're bad at pouring water, but you're
Yeah.
just continuing to pour it into a full glass. It's going to
Right.
spill.
Right.
That's why it's spilling. It's not spilling because you're bad at pouring water. You're excellent at pouring water. You just don't have the right cup.
Yeah.
And that is 90% of the problem with advisory
Mhm.
firms that aren't growing. It's
Mhm.
they don't have enough capacity, or they think they have enough capacity, but they do not because they have things that are blocking their capacity. It might be on the support, it might be on the back end, it might be on their tech
Mhm.
systems, it might be just on their advisors are making too much money and are lazy now.
Mhm.
Because that's the other thing that stops advisors from growing is they
They
make enough
don't
money.
go
Yeah,
for
they're
big.
like, I'm making 300 grand a year. I spend
Yeah.
200 grand a year. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could grow, but like, who cares?
Yeah.
Right? Your associates aren't thinking that way because
Yeah.
they need to make more money,
Right.
which is why you graduate them quickly and don't
Yeah.
pay them too much money
Yeah.
until they hit a point where they're profitable.
Yeah.
And then they can make enough money to stop growing.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I guess like that just kind of makes me think what I should do is, again, I found Kathy through Hannah's program. It's like, can I actually just run that every year, right? Like find somebody, maybe as an intern. I obviously can't afford to have like 3 associates and have I can't do what Abacus did, but I can have one and
Yeah.
just have like this as be a part of regular process.
One per team, unless you're growing at a faster rate
Mhm.
than they can achieve. And so that's why you need to think 5 years ahead. You're
Mm,
doing the math
mhm.
so that like when you do the math and you say, okay, I'm going to be at $1.4 million in 2 years because I'm growing really fast.
Mhm.
Is the current rate of capacity increase from my existing people going to get there? And
Yeah.
if it's not, then you might say, you know what, I need to have 2 associates at a time.
Yeah.
Because if I have 2 associates at a time, then 2 years from now, I'll have twice as much capacity as I
Yeah.
otherwise would. Right? This is a math problem. And I know it seems
Mm.
weird to think of these people as math problems, but this strategic planning really is. You
Yeah.
just say, what's my revenue going to be? How many advisors will I have? How many clients can they serve? Is
Yeah.
that enough? And if it isn't, then you need to go back in time, hire someone at the appropriate time so they are ready when you need them.
Yeah.
And the speed at which you can do that that's your execution.
Yeah.
Your ability to train an advisor in 2 years versus 3 years versus 4 years,
Yeah.
you just need to execute on that. Like,
Yes.
that's the part that I can't fix for you. You
Right.
need to start building the systems in place where you can teach that person in that shorter period of time.
And is there any tips you have about that part, the teaching? Because I don't know. Like obviously I'm trying to show, but I'm also like, I don't know, am I doing this the best way? Like, are there programs or things are like what have you found to be most successful to accelerate the learning for associates too?
I like a system of a checklist-based promotion system
Right. Yes. We
where
have
you
I have
and what
templates.
this is you
Yes.
have that stuff,
Yes.
right?
I have it from our
And
last conversation. Yes.
yeah, the key, yeah, I sent it to you, right? You have those. And the
Mhm.
key is you tell them as soon as you finish this checklist, you get
Yeah.
promoted to the next level. And that
Yeah.
means this much more money. And it needs to be
Yeah.
explicit how much more money when they promote and explicit
Yeah.
what they need to do to get there. Because
Yeah.
if you do that, you've given them the best incentive you can give them to go as fast as possible.
Right.
The things that slow people down is when you slow them down.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, your first year, you're going to do this. At the end of the year, we'll promote you or not.
Yeah.
Right. That will slow them down because
Yeah.
they don't have any incentive to move faster in the first year.
Right.
They just have to get to there in the first year so they can have a more measured pace. But if you tell them as soon as you finish this checklist, you get promoted, I don't care if it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
The really ambitious people will do it in 3 to 6 months.
Right.
They might not be able to, but they're gonna run full speed at it. You know what I mean? And then make sure they are in every meeting that you have, as many as possible.
Yeah.
That you do not over leverage them with tasks,
Mm-hmm.
right? That aren't tasks that cause them to learn. Right. So you only want them to ask to learn, right?
Yeah.
Their one job is to learn. And so you can give them stuff to do,
Yeah.
but everything you give them to do should be a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
If you and Kathy each have a meeting with 2 different clients at the same time, then your associate doesn't necessarily just join you because you're more senior.
Yeah.
They join whichever meeting has the highest learning opportunities,
Right.
or is doing something in that meeting where that they don't that is that they need for their checklist or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some new thing. Just you're thinking about them like a student as opposed to an employee, and then they learn really fast. The people who slow down are people who leverage their associates and make them do a bunch of like planning work or whatever, and they're doing a bunch of work. Right. Well, it's fine to do that. They just will learn more slowly.
Right.
Because they learn how to do the tasks you give them. And so if your tasks you give them, you overwhelm them with the same task over and over.
Right.
Well, they'll know how to do that one thing over and over. That's how you train CSAs. You want your CSAs to get mastery over a small number of tasks.
Yes.
Right. You want your advisors to have mastery over a large number of wide knowledge.
Right.
And so you have to train them differently.
Yeah.
You train CSAs, you teach associates. You know what I'm saying? And you can't train associates to be good advisors. No one can be trained to be a good advisor. You can learn to be a good advisor. And training and teaching are very different.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, I feel like this is like, I know you've said these things, but I'm like, okay, I really get this mind shift I have to make. I really feel like I actually made checklists for my team. Since our last conversation, I created my capacity spreadsheet. I created like what I thought was like a career track. I created like the checklist, but I haven't really used them. You know, I showed it to them and then I was like kind of disappeared. Right. So I have to like bring it back.
Yes. This is all like you're putting things in place to benefit you in the future. And so it's like you're doing the like Karate Kid where you're painting the fence or whatever, because it's building the skills to create the checklist. It's building the skills to meet every week with your associate to check on their checklist and make sure they're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. That's key, by the way. Once a week, every advisor in your firm or every advisor on the team right now, it's you and Kathy would both look at the associate's checklist every week and look for anything that's coming up in the following week that will get them to check something off. Right. Okay. Now, if you want to hire an associate who trains faster, hire a career changer.
I love
in their 30s, right?
That's
of course you do. Right. There's lots
all of us
them.
are like that. All of us have never done this before and are all career transitioners.
Yeah. And I'm not saying you should only hire career changers. No. I'm just saying if you need someone to go faster.
Yeah.
So if you think about like the hierarchy of speed, right? An experienced advisor who already has their CFP, 6 months to a year, they're fully productive with your firm. A career changer, it's probably 2 years, right? Maybe 2.5.
Which is what I feel has happened. Yes.
Entry level new grad who's never really had another real job or real career before, they're new. It might be 3 to 3.5 years. But like if you think of Lisa's your wife, names, right?
Yeah, Lisa, that's right.
Yeah. So if you think of Lisa as like your COO, right? She's handling the operations. Okay. And you think of you as the CEO. Her vision needs to be this year and next year.
Yeah.
Right. Your vision needs to be 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030. You're looking there and putting plans in place to achieve success 3 years from now. Lisa's looking and saying, how do we achieve success today?
Yeah.
Right. Now you have a couple hats. You're like switching your hats on and off when you're thinking about that stuff, because sometimes you need to solve today's problems.
Yes.
But all of your thinking and your planning and your plotting and your dreaming is happening in 2027, 2028. That's what you need to understand.
Okay.
And the reason it's that far out is because we just talked about how long it takes to get advisors up to speed. And so you need to be thinking that far ahead, or you will be late. And
Yeah.
when you're late, you either have to spend more to solve your problem, or you will slow down growth.
Yeah.
And that both cost you significantly more money than properly planning ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might ask me, what's the right growth rate for your firm?
That is a serious question. Like you say,
Right.
well, I don't even know what my growth rate should be, like
Yeah,
that.
what would you say to a client about their income growth? If you had a new financial planning client and they said, well, how much more money should I make? What would you say to them?
I don't know. I mean, whatever it
You
is.
say, how
to
much
reach
more
your
money
goals,
do you
right?
want to make? What do you want to
exactly.
spend? What are your
Yeah.
goals?
What do
Right?
you want to reach your goals?
Same answer.
Yes.
What are your
And
goals?
I feel like
How much do you want to grow?
and I don't know about like how when you talk to advisors, do people know? Because I don't know. Because
No, of course, nobody knows.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know. And I don't think when you ask clients, they don't know either, right? So it's like, I
No.
don't actually know. It's like,
Just figure it out.
yeah. So
Figure out your goals. Figure out what you want out of your firm.
Yeah.
Like you can, I mean, if you really want to do the crazy thought experiment, right? I mean, I've talked to you about the end game conversation. Do you want, who's going to own your shares next? Take that to the end. When do you no longer want to work at your firm?
Oh, I want to stay
Start
here.
thinking backwards.
Yeah. Like normal retirement age.
Great. How big is it at that time?
I don't know.
Who's going to own it at that time? Like, how are you going to get out? Who's going to buy you?
Like ideally I have like a succession person in place inside the firm. But really, ideally, I have my children.
How old are you now? Like
I'm
35
45.
or something? 45?
Yes.
So you have 45. Let's say you want
20
to
years.
say you have 20 years.
Yeah, that's
right?
a long time.
Yeah, if you doubled in size every 5 years, it's just a really easy 15% growth rate, right? That's what, 4 doublings?
Yeah.
4 doublings. And that means you are, if you have 4 doublings, then you're at 1.5 is one doubling, 3 million, another doubling, 6 million, another doubling. You're at 12 million in revenue. How many people work for your firm at 12 million in revenue? How are they going to afford to buy out your firm if you're 12 million revenue firm with a 25% profit rate? So what's that? 3 million of profit, and it's valued, let's say at that time let's be really conservative at 10 times earnings, even though right now it would be more like 15 or 18 times earnings, right? Let's say it's 10 times earnings. So that's a $30 million check that you need to sell your firm for. How many of those people are already partners?
People do. I haven't even thought that far. So it's like,
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Start thinking that far. Actually, just spend a weekend. You and Lisa go off on a little corporate retreat, and you just spend the time and say, 20 years from now, if we grow at 15%, we will be this size firm. It'll be worth 30,
I mean, it's kind of amazing. I know I do this
for
my clients. I do this for my clients.
I know.
Compound growth.
Yeah, do it for yourself, right? Do it right now. Just take the weekend, go off to some cool beach place or whatever, and go, and the two of you plot it out.
Yeah.
How much do we want to grow? How big do we want to be in 20 years?
Right.
Here's what you're worth. Just use 10 times earnings as your basic valuation. Fine.
Right.
It'll be worth more than that probably, or who knows. It's certainly worth more now than 10 times, and not your firm, but a firm that size. And then just start, once you kind of know what it looks like out there, and you know what it looks like here, and you know that like at that size, a team of 4 advisors, like a diamond team kind of structure, however you structure it, you probably do 2 to 3 million of revenue. And so if you're at 12 million of revenue, you need 4 or 5 teams. 4 or 5 teams means 16 to 20 advisors. You probably have a support ratio of about, call it 1 to 1, right? Which means you need as many support people as you need advisors. Well, now you have all those people, right? What do all those people do? Write it like you're writing a fantasy novel or something. You know what I mean? Just make it up. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's not going to look like that when you get there.
Sure.
But it doesn't matter what direction you're going. It matters that you have a direction that you're going.
Yes.
Because you will always make adjustments to your path based on what makes sense. Right? In the next 3, 5, 10 years. Right? You're not going to use your 20-year thing as like did I get it? It's not a success criteria.
Right.
It's just your direction, and your direction will change constantly.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Just like if you go on vacation somewhere and halfway through you hate where you're at, well, you just go somewhere else.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I think that's what I have to
thing.
remind myself too, is actually there's a lot of different exit routes and ways to get back or go forward or go sideways. You know what I mean? Because you can get
Yeah.
smaller. You can get smaller if I realize this sucks. I don't like this at all. You know, you
Yeah, it's
can
harder, but
sell. You can
you
become an
can.
employee. You can do a lot of things
Totally.
if you've built some value. So, you
Oh,
know, I apologize. This is our 6-year-old
no, it's all
yes.
good.
But
We don't apologize for children or animals. Not on this show.
so yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
I
do
mean,
that.
yeah,
Think big.
okay.
Think
I will
hard.
think big. And I think
Go
again,
out
the
there.
big thing is really shifting my mindset to how do I grow the people? How do I grow the
Yeah.
people?
That's it. That's your job.
It's
You're
not
a
about
professional
growing
services firm.
my abilities. It's really about growing my people's abilities.
Yeah.
So,
You are shifting from an owner operator
yeah.
to a CEO.
Hmm.
The skills you need as a CEO. Angie Herbert said this to me one time. I said, "What's
Yeah, what
like?"
is it?
She actually said, "She's like, you were a really good CEO." I'm like, "What? Why would you think that? Because I don't think that's true, right?" I'm like, "Oh no, here's all the areas I failed." And she's like, "Well, you had the one skill that a lot of people don't have, and that is knowing how to allocate your capital."
Mm,
Like, well, what does that mean? She's like, "You know who to hire and when to hire them, and how to spend your money."
mhm,
Right? To achieve maximum profitability.
mhm.
And that's what you need to start thinking about. And the
Yeah,
way you do that in this industry is focus on your people and think really far ahead.
yeah.
You need to be comfortable thinking about 10 years out,
Okay.
right? If you're comfortable thinking 10 years out and kind of predicting what's going to happen, then you're not
Yeah,
going to predict right, but you still
sure.
need to predict. You have to guess. Otherwise, you're frozen,
Yeah,
right? You don't know if that choice is going to be correct, but you know, not making a choice is the worst choice.
right.
Pick a
I mean, this is
lane.
what we do for our clients, right? We make
I
them think
know.
about what they're gonna be at age 90 and make
Yep.
sure that they have enough. So this is
You
what I
just
have to do.
take those skills and
Yes.
apply it, make your business your client.
Yeah.
And you run your business on the same principles as you run your financial plans for your client.
Mhm.
Set a goal, fund that goal, figure out the cheapest and most effective and efficient way to
Mhm.
spend to achieve that goal,
Mhm.
and then achieve it, and then
Mhm.
do the work.
Yeah.
And that's what you do with your clients. You tell them they
Yeah.
have the plan, and then they know, just like you do, you
Yeah.
probably ran 5 scenarios and you pick the one that's the best one that you
Right.
liked best. But
Yeah.
the reality is the range of outcomes is like this,
Right.
right? Huge range of outcomes out there. And the further you go, the bigger that range is,
Yeah.
right? Knowing that as you go along, the range narrows. And
Mm.
so as you get more information, you
Yeah.
can see what direction you're going in better,
Yeah.
right? Like you're sailing a boat, you don't know where the wind's going to come from, but you still need to know where you're going.
Right.
And where the wind is coming from doesn't affect where you're going. It
Yeah.
affects the direction you take on the way there,
Yeah.
right? If you're sailing a boat, you need to go against the wind. So you might be going back and forth a bunch. But if you get lucky and the wind's at your back, then you just
Right.
hit it for a while and go real easy. And that's what's going to happen in your firm is you're going to be sailing really easy. And then you hit a crunch.
Yeah.
You hit these little barriers of growth, these growth barriers. As Angie Herbers has a great slide. If you go to her website, you can download it,
Yeah.
and it shows you what times you stop growing and when you need to grow there.
Yeah.
Right? All the things you need to do to get past it.
Yeah.
Right? Like at that point, right? It's just a formula. There's some things that are very common, and then
Mhm.
there's some things that are unique just to your firm, and then you just
Yeah.
have to keep an eye out for all those things. Know
Yeah.
where you're the same, know where you're different. Take advice, but don't follow it.
Right.
And you're creating this journey, and there is no one right way. The only thing to say about the right way is that you pick a direction and you
Right.
go toward that direction
Mm.
until you change where you're going and then shift that and then go there.
Yeah.
But always have that North Star, always
Yeah.
have the thing that you're going toward.
Yeah.
And if you focus on that and you fearlessly reinvest to meet your goals
Mm. I
while
like that.
still protecting your
Fearlessly and
growth
reinvest.
potential.
I'm gonna write that down for myself.
Yeah. Well, it's impossible. It's more bravely reinvest
Yeah.
because it's still
Bravely.
there. You know what I mean?
Courageously reinvest.
Courageously reinvest because you got to bet on yourself
Yeah.
or stop growing. And then you can come back on my show and I'll tell you
I'll
how to
tell you
stop growing.
why I failed.
No, it's not. There's no
Yeah.
failure,
Right.
right? Worst case scenario, oh, you get to have a business that makes you a bunch of money. Like
Right.
that's worst case scenario,
Yeah.
right? Best case scenario, you have a firm that makes you lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
Like we're not talking this industry, like the risk profile is just really low,
Mm.
right? you're not like building a whole factory and then hoping people want to eat your cereal or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're actually just, doing these little small
Yeah.
$150,000 reinvestments,
Yeah.
50,000
That is true.
reinvestments,
That is
whatever it
true.
is.
I mean, even opening a restaurant seems scarier, right?
Wait,
So, yeah.
100 billion times scarier. It's horrible.
When is Richie gonna come back?
All
Sorry.
right.
We got it. Maybe I gotta take. I think you might have. I gotta give him his medicine.
It is probably time to wrap up anyway. So
Yes.
any last questions? Or are you good?
I mean, I think this is great. I think every year I feel like I've been, especially the beginning, right? You're just like changing so much that like every time I'm in a very different place and different, like don't know what to do. So this
It's
is,
fine.
I
We
think,
talk every 6 months
yeah,
to a year, and then
yeah.
it's like
I feel like I have my
keep seeing the
marching orders.
upgrades.
I got it. My marching orders is focused on how to grow the people, shift to figuring out, I need to teach myself how to train my people, because that's something that is a different skill set than what I've been focusing on for the last 2-3 years. I've been focused on how do I be a good advisor and how do I find clients, right?
Yep.
And I think it's a different skill set now to focus. Obviously, I
Yep.
still have to do those things, but
Yep. Now it's how do you find advisors instead of how
Yes.
do you find clients?
Yeah.
Your advisors will figure it out how to find
Yeah.
clients ultimately, and you're
Yeah.
just packing the stable.
Yes. Cool. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for
Of
having me on
course.
the show.
Of course, anytime. I'll see you. Call me back next year. We'll come back and see how it went.
I will. Yes. Sounds
All right.
good.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. Not a whole lot of audience participation this time again, but we just kept talking. Sorry if you wanted to ask a question and then you didn't feel like you could. But come back. We have a couple more shows this year, and we'll see you then. Oh.